Hi, it's Rob calling from Last Time Gear, and I have Rain and Lilian. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're really excited to be here today.
I'm even more excited because I think I went down the rabbit hole of interviewing Jenny, who I followed for many years, and thanks to her, I learned a lot. So I'm very hopeful of learning a lot from you.
Oh,
I
great.
think my wife should have done the same interviews because she's all into Disney modeling and stuff like that. But it's also a good opportunity for me to learn. So can you tell me a little bit about yourselves? What what makes you passionate about Disney and Disney bounding, just to start off?
Go first, because you're actually the bigger bounder of the two of us. I think for me, it's just I have with Disney bounding, I discovered it kind of randomly online one day, and it was just it wasn't even people wearing the outfits. It was just like suggestions of like coordinations and colors and accessories that would, that were like inspired by the characters and such. And I was like, that's just a really fun, neat idea, especially like for when you're like going to the park. And I started kind of doing that subtly a little bit at first, and more it's just kind of like now I can't go to the park without practically being in costume. Um, like I do, I have a love of the characters, and I have a love of fashion and kind of reinterpreting the characters into outfits. Yeah, I think for me, like bounding, I'm not as good of a bounder as like Jenny or Rain. I'm much more of a linear thinker, so like mine tend to lean into the costuming side of it more. Like it's harder for me to be like, I'm purple, I'm orange, I'm pink, I'm Figment, and I get it, and I see it on other people, and I'm like, you're amazing. But for me, like if I don't see Figment, then it's harder. So like for me, I love the run dresses. I like to go after the run dresses and build off of like ears. Like for me, I love more like the coordinating when I can do something like this, I love it. So for me, like the run dresses and putting myself more in character um is more my passion, and like being fandom from head to toe. Like yeah, my Figment look is probably the more of my famous Instagram looks because it's just horns and the full dragon. And I just love to be as expressive especially when I'm at the parks, because I feel like that's that one place where if I'm weird or if I'm different, it's applauded, and it's recognized as something representative of that fandom. Yeah, that
Uh,
way.
I think, and I think that's what's cool about Disney bounding because, or anything that you do in Disney, like there's no other place in the world where you can compliment somebody's ears and it'll be fine, right? Once you're
Exactly.
there. So like, I don't like to be in environments that are homogeneous, that they all look the same. I'm not a fan of that. I like to be around different people. And so for me, when you say weird, it's like, well, I guess I'm weird, but I don't
Yeah,
see it that way
it's
because
not
for
weird.
for me it would be weird. Like for example, I worked as a when I came out of college, I went to school for accounting. I went to work for KPMG, which is a big CPA firm.
Mhm.
That was not comfortable for me because everybody was dressed the same way. And then, of course, they're making fun of my shoes and what I wore because I came from Puerto Rico, which we use a lot of color and, we have a different fashion style. And everybody just looked the same with like ugly shoes and stuff like that. And I was young, I was more interested in fashion than I am now, but I think that's what's cool about, and that's what is very attractive to me when it comes to this modeling. You mentioned something a run dress, and I have a question because I saw you mention it in one of your videos on something that happened to you when you ordered something. But can you explain what a run dress is?
There are several small shops, and actually Disney is starting to get in on the game. It's basically like a tennis dress. It's essentially that breathable, almost a bathing suit, stretchy, spandexy type material, very wicking. And for like they complement dag near every woman. Even, you can be full sized, you can be super tiny, you can be curvy in between. It complements everyone. The skirt is very full, so like if you're self-conscious about your bottom or something like that, it's still modest. Some of them, they're the teeny tiny ones. I'm 46, so I won't be doing the teeny tiny ones. I learned that lesson with the mini dress, the tiny dress I wore at Disneyland. I cannot do that anymore. But they're really the ones that are coming out for Disney now. They honestly they
look like the character, except for obviously you are the head, you are the arms, you are the legs.
Yeah. And they're called run dresses because they are popular with the run Disney community. The people that do the marathon, they dress up as well, but they want to dress up and be comfortable in like a sporty dress, you know. So it's
I at this age now, I will strive for comfort over everything. Like my shoes will never be the right shoes for a Disney bound. They will be like my Reeboks, you know, Reeboks for comfort, or whatever. But yeah, the run dress is fun. Like that little lady one has a little tail in the back, you know, so you can see her little fluffy tail, and the Figment one has a big dragon tail up the back. Again, like I lean into those more. I think as when I get to be a local, it'll happen one day. I would definitely like to do those Run Disney events. That is definitely the way I like to dress up. Big, light up, outlandish. We dressed up as the Main Street Electrical Parade. When I got to see it, like
that was another thing I was gonna say. Like another appeal I would say about DisneyBounding for me especially is I won't pretend that like the attention that you get isn't really, you know, positive, and that it doesn't, you know, getting a lot of compliments from not only cast members but even just other guests will notice you more, and then, you know, it's such a positive environment and people feel freer there to just talk to strangers. So
yes.
they'll just be like, I really love your outfit. It's inspired by Ursula. Oh my God, I can tell. Look at that. You know, just you get that really positive feedback. And you can also get more attention and feedback from the characters at times. When we dressed up as the Main Street Electrical Parade, every float noticed us and we got extra waves and character time.
Yeah, lots of, was it Peter Pan was just like,
yeah.
And then he bowed to us and clapped. Tinkerbell was just like blowing all the kisses.
And we had a few characters like run over and like you know the walking parade characters like ran over to us, and just because we were covered in lights, they were too, you know. So it gives you just like the positive vibes that it brings is a huge appeal of it.
The energy, I call it a Disney energy exchange. I will go there for that. Just to be nice to people and have people being nice to me is it.
And that's how it should be everywhere, right? Because like I live up here in Puerto Rico, and it's normal for you to walk around and say good morning to everybody, just even if it's a total stranger, right?
Yes.
And you can tell who the tourist is. Especially from the Northeast, and I grew up over there when I was a kid. They're like, why is this person talking to me? It's like, no, that's how we operate here. Like we're just, you know, it's just we create community even with the stranger, right? So I think that's what's cool about it. And then, you know, when you put so much effort into an outfit, you know, you are gonna get that reward, right? And on the other day I spoke with Danny about that expectation of pixie dust, right? And that's something that a lot of people misunderstand and misrepresent for selfish reasons.
Yes.
And it's like, no, that's not what it is. It's something that happens with serendipity because of a connection you make with somebody. Not
I think that's pixie dust.
Exactly. And I always say that I live in Puerto Rico, so I go to the Orlando parks more, even though I like Disneyland more. Like sometimes it's so sad that I'll walk over to a cast member and just ask them how they were doing, and all of a sudden they caught me a meal, and it's like, and it's, you know why it's sad? Because it's like, you know how many people came to the casters, didn't even ask them how they were or said hi, you know? So I mean, I don't do it because of that reason. That's just me. But over time, I'm like I have a friend like, yeah, they keep on, you know, pampering you. It's like, well, that's because sadly everybody should act like me, and they don't, you know.
Yeah,
and just you get what you give, more or less. That's a huge part of it.
And I think you have to not set expectations. I think some of our greatest moments were spontaneous.
Like we're spontaneous, but a lot of the time they were a result of us being nice.
So nice.
We recently, when we went to Disneyland, we went to the Indiana Jones Adventure Ride, and there was a young cast member.
We want a hysterical malfunction. We'll start with that. We came out of the ride laughing.
Yeah,
we didn't mind. We love malfunctions. We love in-show exits. So we like get me behind the scenes walking.
The part where, you know, the boulders coming down and Indy's hanging there, but the thing is, the music stops, the audio stops,
the car,
everything is just dead silent, and Indiana Jones is just staring down at us.
awkwardly. And right when I go, well, this is awkward, the music starts again and we just shoot down. Like, and then it's so like spontaneous. We couldn't help it. We were laughing. And then I think Indy at the end, he goes, well, looks like you finally made it, which was just the perfect one. So the whole car is losing it.
Yeah, we're all laughing by the time we get off. So we get off and there's this young cast member and he has the little yellow tag on his shirt,
which we've come to realize they all have one because it's their thing, pull on the yellow tag. But we thought this guy was just being clever.
We thought he was wearing, just a cute like intro. So we're like, oh my God, we love your yellow tag. Like, that's so funny. And we started like, just like, that's like, it's just like the ride. And then he was just like, yeah, like, because we were being very positive with him. He just goes, do you guys want to ride again? And we're like,
yes.
Yeah. And he just pushes us right through the
magic entrance.
The magic entrance, basically.
And then he made me the driver. He was like, make her the driver.
And not only, but he made sure we got through extremely fast.
He kept finding us in the queue and making sure
giving us shortcuts basically through the queue so we could get through it faster. And it was all just because we were really nice to him and complimented the little yellow tag on his shirt. So it's like, you get what you give.
And sometimes you don't. I do the same thing. The Florida park, sometimes you'll be like, hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day. And you get that cast member that's like, I'm at work. $29.99 with your discount. Bye.
You know,
more common in Florida, I feel like.
Really, do you guys visit more Disneyland or visit Florida
We
more?
do now. We used to do Florida more often just because Florida is where she grew up. It was more her local park growing up, and I grew up more in Georgia, so it was more accessible for me as well. We would go to Florida more often. But recently we finally made it to Disneyland, which was always a goal. We wanted to see the original park, and we have fully fallen in love with it, and we're much more Disneylanders now. I would say
we're in San Antonio, Texas. So it's, basically a 16-hour drive to Walt Disney World and an 18-hour drive to Disneyland. If you're driving,
Exactly.
and the flight times are literally like the same.
The same.
I prefer flying to Disneyland for obvious reasons. You can get up at 5 a.m. I could be there by 10 a.m. I can basically rope drop right off the plane. So there are incentives to Disneyland on top of just, I just like it better.
See, you said that about the cast members, and the first park I ever visited was Disneyland. I was 25 years old, never been to Disney park, always loved Disney. And I was working, and one of my coworkers like, I know you love Disney. She grew up in Los Angeles. She's like, we're like an hour away. Let's just drive over there once we finish on Thursday because we had a project. And we took, I had a blast. We were only for a few hours. Then in 2010, I was speaking at a conference in Los Angeles, and I took a friend of mine who had never been to Disneyland. They were living in Los Angeles. They moved over there. Things didn't go as planned, so they couldn't afford going to Disneyland, but they were so nice to me during the whole trip that I took them, as a gift, just because they pretty much took care of me while I was there for like a week. And again, only for a few hours because I was there and then I had to take a flight. And then last year I went and I was there for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And then it was interesting because the problem is I go so much to the Orlando parks that I know so many cast members.
Okay,
that obviously
nice.
that it's a different vibe, right? But then one thing that, like in Orlando, because of it also has to do with the labor laws, which is what people have explained to me. Over there, like if you have an issue, you have to go to a specific department. Like if you have an issue with your ticket, you have to come out of the park and go to the ticketing. In Orlando, you can just go to guest services or an umbrella or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And oh my God, I was getting so frustrated because first I bought the Magic Key for the first time. I was not familiar with it. Very different than the Annual Pass. And like some of these cast members, they had that attitude. And but then I realized that the ones that have the funky attitude are usually in ticketing. And then I said, well, I'm new here. Maybe it's because I'm lost, and maybe that's why, and I don't know as many people. Maybe I ran into the wrong people. So I went this year again for like almost 2 weeks, and I thought it was pretty balanced because I put it in my head like, well, they don't know you. They know you in the other place, right? So, but then I had one cast member that, he flew in, I had to change my flight to the day before because flights were too expensive. And then I had put my, you know, how you have to make the reservation and it's not as easy as Orlando wants to change it.
Right. Yeah.
So I walk up to the front, and this is the second time using my magic key. And I say, hey, is it possible to do this and that? And this lady's not having it. She's like, there's nobody there because it's pretty empty. It was the beginning of March. The park was pretty empty. So I'm like, there's not even a line behind me. This lady's not being helpful. And it got to the point that I'm trying to be nice to her and she's not being nice to me. And then I said, hey, I just need to know, like, if I grab, like, let's say if I grab one of the reservations I have for another day, if it's available. And she's like, I don't have a crystal ball. At that point, I said, okay, I know you don't care. I just need to answer this because I became rude, right? And she gave me the answer, but that was the only bad interaction I had in 2 weeks, you know. And so, like, then I realized it's culturally is different. It's culturally different, you know. I'm used to the Orlando vibe, so. But yeah, I think the cast members overall are awesome, and every once in a while you run into somebody who's not having a good day, but I'll try to look around it. What inspired your names?
Oh, well, mine's, I mean, I have bipolar disorder. It's something that I've actually more recently been diagnosed with. Before that, it was mostly depression. I used to be under a handle of Disney Princess Tiger Lily. I was just trying to be subversive, honestly, as a kid. I'm a little bit of a zennial. So like things like Peter Pan, Tiger Lily at that time was actually the only representation of someone who looked like me at that point. She had the long black hair and her skin was just about my shade, and she was gorgeous in my opinion. And to be honest, like, she doesn't take any crap. She may have gotten kidnapped, but like at the end of the day, she holds her chin up. And my beautiful daughter is actually a wonderful artist as well. She can draw. And she actually had created a Tiger Lily sketch that I had adopted for years as my handle. But something just kind of snapped a little bit inside of me over the holidays. And I had actually a terrible episode. And at that point, I decided that I wanted to live in more truth on my account. There are people that are struggling. There are people that suffer. There are people that smile on the internet every single day and twirl around in front of castles and can still be so clinically depressed that maybe they hurt themselves. They need to know they're not alone. They need to know that you can still be whimsical. For me, whimsy is the escape, the energy exchange of a Disney park, being positive to others and receiving positivity and kindness. It's, for me, so good for my mental health. I actually got a job at Disney Store before it got chapeked, to be around.
I'm sorry. You're losing your job is not funny, it's just a JPEG moment.
It got chapeked. I lost the best job I ever had. And it's a retail gig, but let me tell you, that retail gig is nothing but, hi, how are you? Welcome in. What can I help you with today? And to be honest, I love to give that energy to people. And they light up. They're like, you're happy to see me. You're happy to help me. You're happy to find that t-shirt in my size. And I get to walk out of here with mouse ears or a t-shirt or, that's one of my favorites. I would bring it out. And going to work was good for me. Being a Disney person, putting out even if I was having a bad day, you have to put something on. You're a cast member. You're on stage. And I lived for that energy exchange. So that's where my handle came from. This one's just funny. Like,
it was partially just because I thought it was a funny name. And also for me, it's not just like parks for me. When it comes to Disney, I'm fully enmeshed in absolutely everything that has to do with it. I've grown up in the cult and I don't plan to leave it. I'm perfectly happy in my cult because it's not hurting anybody, and it's just me financially. But essentially, for me, all things Disney are things that I'm fascinated by, and I'm going to take an interest in. The parks, the behind the scenes, the cast members, Walt Disney's life, animation, storytelling, and the rabbit holes that those take me down, because once Imagineers, and once you open, you know, the storytelling and animation rabbit hole, you also kind of go down this folklore rabbit hole, and you end up discovering things about human culture that you wouldn't honestly think you would discover just because you decided to go onto the Little Mermaid Wikipedia. And, you know, just like I love deep diving into all things and consuming information and then sharing that information.
Yeah.
It's a big thing for me.
Disney history.
Yeah, for like just all things about the company and about the products and everything.
Walt the man.
Walt the man. Just
Walt the man.
I am fascinated with all of it. So for me, the Walt's favorite rodent handle also kind of, it just kind of covers all of it a little bit. You've got your Mickey Mouse, you've got your Walt, and the Walt's favorite rodent is just vague enough that maybe it's Mickey, maybe it's Oswald, you know, like did it truly start with Mortimer? I'm just gonna maybe it is not Mortimer.
Exactly. Well, maybe it is Mortimer because he was forced to change it
That
into.
was the name. That was the name that he always stopped. I was gonna go there. Maybe that.
Yeah, no, but that's pretty awesome because I looked at her name and I'm like, oh, this is genius, right? Because similar to like when my brother started selling Disney merch on Whatnot, which is an app where he sells, you know, and he does this as a side hustle. It's not his main job, right? My brother's a chef. And then I started seeing how happy people were buying stuff, right? I'm more of the spend money on experiences, not, or for example, and I'll give you an example of an experience. Like my daughter used to have, we bought it on the Disney store. She used to have a Mary Poppins dress. She grew out of it. So then she grew out of it. And then usually my daughter's pretty, like, she's pretty laid back when it comes to like, okay, I'm not using it. Let me give it to somebody who uses it. She's not really testing with the other things. So like we were moving about 2.5 years ago, and it didn't fit her anymore. So my wife gave it to another little girl. Didn't tell her. So, you know, when she went to look for it, she was like, oh, no. So then it took me a while, but I have a friend who is a designer. She works with a few celebrities here locally. So I wasn't going to ask because sometimes, you know, when I work with a lot of creatives, I don't want to offend them. Like, you'll
right,
this, yeah. You know? And then all of a sudden she did like, for her friends, she did like, they would do cosplaying different female WWE wrestlers.
Okay.
And one of the officers was like, wait, you do this, Gabriela? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, so my daughter's name is Daniela Lucia. The designer's name is Gabriela Lucia. So they always have a connection because we go to the gym and they know each other. And she's like, oh, it's for Daniela. Of course I'll make it. So she sat down with Daniela, and I have pictures I had taken over the years of her and her outfit. And in between her and Daniela, designed this outfit that became this, like, it's a custom-made Mary Poppins dress for her.
And, she's got to take that to D23.
So for me, that's the kind of stuff I would buy because it'll create more experiences, right? But exactly. I'm not gonna buy something. I'm not gonna buy something just to have it. Like some people will have, you know, and that's my brother. My brother likes that, right? Right, but that's. But you know, but like you said, I end up having more financial issues because I spend more money on other stuff that's Disney, right? So we all have our.
I'm a souvenir junkie, so like I have a problem with I buy the experience, but now I need something to commemorate the experience. Every.
I think that many years ago I used to be the same way. I used to buy something like, oh, now I need to go travel because I bought this. But I met these folks in a conference in North Dakota. They have the documentary on Netflix, the Minimalists. I met Joshua and Ryan Nicodemos in this conference my friend made. It was like 30 of us. It was just like very intimate conference. And they got me a little bit into minimalism. I'm not that good at it, but I started like focusing more on because I would spend more money and then I couldn't go travel, right? But having said that, the joy that people get when they get their packages, when my brother sends them, it's like, oh man, that's awesome. That's how I feel when I go to the park, you know? And I'm all for people feeling good, you know? It's like you said, we're not harming anybody. But then the one thing that I could relate with you both is when we used to go to the parks, like I bought every Disney princess dress, not everybody, a good amount of during her years. She's 14.
I did that.
Yeah.
That's true.
And my daughter used to like, wear them and she used to enjoy it. But that Mary Poppins dress, since her hair is black and stuff like that, she would get so many compliments. And then when she
Yeah.
had the custom made one, oh my God, everybody was like, then you have to be careful because people start taking photos with her. It's like, no, 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 you don't want to have any issues with that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then now she turned 14 in December, so she can't do that anymore, and she has to wait for
Yeah.
like the Christmas party and stuff like that. But it's just like you said, we on the last day, and I think I spoke about this with Jenny, so I'm repeating myself again, but I'm gonna make it short. On the last day that she was able to wear her dress, because after that, a few weeks later, she's gonna turn 14, and we were not gonna go back to the park because we don't live that close. We went to the cavalcade because everybody, you gotta go see Mary Poppins, you gotta go see
Yes.
Mary Poppins.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the interaction we had with Mary Poppins, and I grabbed, I'll send it to you later. The photos I took of Mary Poppins when she realized that my daughter was this is Mary Poppins, which is not a common outfit anymore, you know,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. And then we were just so happy that we had those interactions because every cast member, every performer, every character was pointing Mary Poppins is coming to my daughter. And then when we were leaving the park, we're like, you know what? We're gonna leave tomorrow. This is the last day of Magic Kingdom. Let's just go take a photo with Walt's favorite mouse, which hopefully is Mickey Mouse. So
Mini,
we, we,
maybe.
we went
Willpower.
in there and we took a photo, and there was no line. This was the beginning of December,
Mm-hmm.
and when we come out, the cast member's like, "Hey, can you guys wait a minute?" And we're like, "We know what this is." I had a similar experience at
Yes.
Disneyland where Mary Poppins finished her thing, and the cast member grabbed us and took us to like a private experience with Mary Poppins. So we're like, "Yeah, wherever you want, we'll walk." No, it's a big walk. We're willing to walk. And then they brought Mary Poppins outside of where Tony's restaurant.
Yeah.
She came
Oh,
out.
it's the best
She
spot.
spoke with my daughter for like a few minutes. Then they walked around Main Street. It was such a unique experience, right? But then, you know how many outfits, like going back to the Pixie Dust, it's been like we've been past all the making them. I mean, Walt Disney World for 10 years. That's a moment that only happened once, and it was so unique. That's so cool. That was the last day you could wear it. But these are things that like you spend so much time creating your office and stuff like that. That you don't do it because of that. We were just happy with seeing her from far away,
Oh, I
but
have
then
no
it just added to it.
idea. Yeah, no, I have a Mary Poppins, my most recent Mary Poppins experience. Actually, I bounded. I found a pretty good dress that really worked. And Mary was, well, it was pretty great. It was the same kind of thing. We had walked in, we were gonna walk through the castle, just heading in. And cast members immediately are like, hey, 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 stop. Stand right here. And I'm like, is Mary? I'm like, Mary's coming. And then she's like, yeah, Mary's coming. I'm like, Mary's coming right here. So you need to be right here. And so I parked right at the tip of the star, front row center, like a giant child. And Mary was very much like, oh, and pulled me in. I ended up dancing with the children. I'm doing little dances. I do not care that I am a 46-year-old holding Mary Poppins's hand. I am having the time of my life. And she was, and she's so sweet. She's like, thank you for wearing that. And it's not, but thank you for wearing that. And you look just as lovely as me. Just, she's so sassy. And then they made sure to take us to have pictures after the little dance number because that was very specific to that moment. They needed to come and go. But they were like, go right here. They're coming right through here. Stand right here. So, and yeah, all I did was wear a dress. I hadn't done it matters to them that you care about something, you clearly care and they care. That great is that. I could have just walked on by. I would have never had a clue. I would have been on the carousel in that moment, to be honest,
I
otherwise.
thi- I think one thing I love about California, see, I grew up around my grandmother who was like in her 70s, 80s, walking around in high heels, looking great. And because she felt that way, like you can
That's
dress
the
however you want.
generation too, yeah.
But like, hey, if you want to go comfortable parts, that's fine. But I really, really appreciate when people take their time. And that's what I love about Disneyland because it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. Everybody is like there, and of course the weather helps too. Let me be fair, right?
It's
Because
so
in
nice.
Orlando, because I remember last year I was walking around and this guy had like, I have Mexican family members and he looked like my nephew who's a half Mexican, half Puerto Rican. And I was like, and then I look at this really cool t-shirt. And this guy, the way he had that t-shirt on his jeans, and he would look so polished. And it's like,
Yeah.
he looked Chicano, but like he was like, he looked great. And it's like it's like that's what sometimes I don't like about Orlando. It's, you know, it's people are like, you know, then you really appreciate when somebody comes in and does
Oh,
something because
Yeah.
again, you can be comfortable and
no,
still look okay.
there's definitely a lot more bounding and
Yeah,
like muted cosplay in California for the weather for sure.
it's more comfortable. It's just more doable. Like your makeup isn't going to melt off halfway through the day because it rained and then also became so hot that the rain turned into steam. But it,
Yeah, I know. Quick question: how do you come out? Because I've looked at your pictures, Lilian, and like that's where like I don't want to talk too much about bipolarism because my mom was bipolar and she was not the kind of person you
Yeah,
could talk about it, right? It took her time. She's passed now, but
it's
you know, it was not, you know, also a different generation, right? And like I looked at your pictures and like so much energy, so much happiness, like it shows you're having
that's
fun,
the
right?
mania side of the bipolar
No, no,
disorder.
but then now I understand when you say that when you were working there. So how, because two different personalities, how do you create a look based on how you feel that day or how, you know, what you want to project?
yeah. So a lot of it, I call it content collecting, right? So I've built, I go on those vacations and I will do as many costume changes as I can and build as many photos and like a book as I can. And then what I tend to do is I go through what I'm feeling in that day and I'll have to go back and back catalog. Sometimes I'm in San Antonio and we are a family of 7. So the trips to Disney are, expensive and we're, I put every penny into the next trip for me. That is my fun thing. It's my hobby is getting there. Um, so each trip is kind of a big deal. And I forgot where I was going with that. I started somewhere. This is where we edit. The building the looks. Okay, yeah. So a lot of my content, like I said, it's back cataloged. So I do have to look for what's trending in that moment. Yeah, the whole like wear whatever the heck you want is kind of a thing right now, except for it was some people are damn the man, damn the man, damn, whatever their thing is that they're using for the trend. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find one of my more big, bold outfit moments and make that the message of the day. So yeah, it is a lot of back collection and it's definitely more based on I'm more of a writer, whether people are reading the captions or not. A lot of my energy is definitely on either being relatable or yes, and sometimes I'm angry and sometimes I'm frustrated and sometimes it's and the factors around us and the world. So I just, or sometimes, yeah, and sometimes I'll use Disney to be sarcastic. If something really terrible is happening in the world and I can find a way to throw a hilarious photo of me being like, "Ah," but the world is burning, I will be like, hey, the world is burning, but you can smile. So there's always nuance to what I'm doing. Um, as far as that, like a lot of the time I'm just going into Disney and getting my picture taken and having a lot of fun and just wearing the outfits in the moment. Steamboat Willie at MGM Studios felt so perfect and so much fun. And I feel like every photo still call it MGM.
I did.
She does that. She will never let it go. She can't.
I didn't even, it wasn't even on purpose.
I'm the same way. Every time we go to California, I still call it the Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
It is not the Tower of Terror. It is
Mission
Breakout. But that's the Tower of Terror.
Yes, Hollywood Studios. So when I'm going down the main drag of the Hollywood Studios, and I'm just like, take my picture, take my picture, take my picture.
One thing I noticed is people who went to Disney since they were kids, right? There's a nostalgic thing.
It gets
And
stuck.
like when things get changed, you know, and like the reality is most people can't deal with change easily, right? But
Yeah.
and that's most people because like I think like it change bothers everybody, but I think I do a good job of accepting it because like it is what it is. But like I see people get so frustrated, and then you're like, you know what? I don't. For me, it's hard to get it because I started going there when I was 27 years old, right? But if you were there, as a kid, that's gonna trigger your memories from as a kid,
no,
and
I
that's
know. I'm gonna end up confusing my future children when they go to the new Zootopia attraction, and I'm calling it "It's Tough to Be a Bug," and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
my daughter loves dinosaur, and that's gonna change, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, she's been pampered to the point where she goes to Disney a lot. You know, she's been going there since she's like 3. So, you know, it's gonna be. She's like, oh, I was supposed to play like Indiana Jones. I don't want to change. Look, you know, it's a
Yeah.
good. And then I have a question for you.
I loved Dinosaur the movie.
Yeah, I feel like it's very underrated, and so I was very. It's a very underrated film, and no one talks about it. So the fact that it even
It had a
still had
ride.
an attraction,
We call it the Aladar rides, but like
yeah, like I was
even-
very
we didn't even call it Dinosaur. We're like, let's go ride the Aladar ride. You know,
innocently attached to that part of it. Like it's like nobody even knows this movie exists.
that's an iguanodon. For those that don't know.
Exactly. No, and I think that's the thing. Like, I don't think my daughter's watched the movie. I'm gonna ask her. I don't think so.
So
But like,
good.
it's just.
actually very
But
good.
I think this is the first kind of scary dark ride that she got over.
Oh,
And she's like, oh, wait, this is fun, you know, because for a while we didn't even want to get her on it because we thought that, and she probably wouldn't have had a good time. You know, so I think there's an attachment to that. But then with me, I've seen how it's not been kept up. So it's like, okay,
Yes, it is falling apart.
if it's at this point, then I guess
Yeah.
it's better to change it than to leave it this way.
can I be real? I ride the Journey into Imagination with Figment because if people stop riding it, Disney might think that they need to get rid of it entirely. And the other option, that's not the option I want. The option I want is for me, Lillian, I would like them to put it back, or at least some dream findery, actual imagination-y thing. Even if they can't do it all, they can do something. That's me. So I get on that ride to make sure that there are numbers passing through those turnstiles every time I'm there. So they
It doesn't mean that it's like a good ride. Like, it's a shell of its former self, and it is currently in shambles. Like they haven't maintained it. It probably is just stuck in years.
My daughter doesn't like the smelly part. And she's like, I haven't been on it in years because I'm usually with her. The other, like a few,
It's only worse
So-
now than it was the last time. It's just crumbling. Like the 3 screens don't even match.
last September, my wife and my brother and my sister-in-law, they don't like to get on Guardians. So my daughter and I got on Guardians, and they went to figure it. And then I was gonna get on it, but it was started raining, and I was like, you know what, let's just go home because we were drenched. But yeah, like it's like that's a good point. You know, it gets to the point that you wanted them to fix it, but Disney has its unique way where they put priorities where they think they should be, not where the loyalty. Like, and I think this is my opinion right now.
They don't factor in sentimentality, which is fine. I get it. But also on the flip side, sometimes I'm like, do you realize how the fans would lose their ish if they could just get something nostalgic up to snuff? Like,
Look, right now, what I'm seeing is like, so I'm Disney Vacation Club owner. And, you know, I used to be D23. I canceled it because I never went to any of the events. So it's like, you know, they're just sending me stuff, and I'm not a fan of souvenirs. So, you know, just stuff that gets put in a box and left there. And then, you know, a pass holder, my Magic Key expired in May 1. So I forgot that I thought I could renew it later, but it's under.
Matt Rowe,
But, you know,
Shaggy.
But I spent so much time at the parks, and then since the pandemic, they've been taking stuff away and raising prices and stuff like that. And now that Epic kicked in, now they're trying to like bring you back in. It's like, here's a problem. There's a lot of people that are so annoyed that you didn't take care of them that they went elsewhere. They're not gonna come back that easily just because you're offering them all about a small discount, you know. And
Yeah.
like we went there. So we as a travel agent now, because when I started this project with my brother, since I go, a lot of people that thought I worked at Disney or I could help them with their trip, and I would help them, but I wouldn't make a commission. So I said, you know what, let me just do this on the side. And I grabbed one of these travel agent discounts to go on the Disney Wish, and I had to fly in on Easter Day. And then I said, you know what, we were staying at the Walk. So I said, we'll walk to Epcot. I get to see the Flower and Garden Festival, and I thought it was gonna be packed because it's Easter Day. It was empty. It was like, you know, and I was like, because a lot of
It looked
people.
like Magic Kingdom looked like it was popping.
Like,
Well, I know people who were making it, and it wasn't as packed as they expected. So there were people, but the thing was that it was the first few days where people were getting previews to Epic Universe.
Yeah, yeah.
So people were like, "Let's go to Epic. It's a day off." So I'm seeing that in the parks, and it's good because I think the parks have been too packed all the time because I go 3 times a
yeah,
year.
the crowd density issue is insane at this point, and Epic Universe at least helps with just that part, like just draw a few people away. Just that's okay.
And yeah, I got a chance to go to Epic, and
How is it?
It's really great. It's a good park. I'm not as deeply invested in the IPs, so it's very easy for me to just enjoy the rides, just as pre-existing or as existing things. Unfortunately, like the Harry Potter ride wasn't running when we went. It was a preview day, so I'm not mad about it. But I really liked Monsters Unleashed. I liked the werewolf coaster. The Celestial coaster is now. I have not been on Velocicoaster, so, and apparently the comparison is pretty much there on the way the launches are, etc. And I guess people say Velocicoaster is still more intense. I can't attest to that. The Celestial Racers was the most wild outdoor coaster I've ever been on now. I had a blast, but I did get off like, I'm going to sit down now for 5 minutes because my adrenaline is all the way. The food was good. I really enjoyed the food. I love Nintendo World. I stayed there most. That was my kind of chaos. I like it in there. And the Donkey Kong area is gorgeous. Just like you can just vibe and just exist in there for a good long time. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it's huge. Just like it can be crowded and you're not going to notice.
Yeah,
You're really not going to feel it.
I had friends who actually I brought up on one of the previous blog posts on the website. I have friends who they do cruising, but they went to Epic, and they went the first day and it was pretty empty. So they were moving around and stuff like that. The video is really cool because I followed Laura and Faith for quite some time because of the cruising aspects of what they share, and they're an awesome couple. I got to meet them. They stopped here in San Juan, and I took them for just a little drive to show them the non-touristy parts of Puerto Rico where the locals go, and then or at least San Juan, because we were only in San Juan. But what was cool was you're getting people who are not creating content for the theme parks, just enjoying it, which is like how somebody normally would go and experience the park, right? Because if you're one of these content creators, you first of all, if you're doing content for Universal, Disney, they've already packed you with so many things that, and giving you so much information that your normal person going into a park's not going to have that information, right?
Yeah.
So that video is kind of cool because they're an awesome couple. I actually, yesterday I had an interview with them. They were talking about cruising. I'm going to bring that up soon. But the cool thing was, like I said, what I really loved about the video is like, because you guys are not always in the theme parks, you're getting the perspective of how a normal person would get it,
Exactly.
So I have to figure out how to make it over there. I hadn't been back to Universal Park since 2011, even though I go to Disney 2-3 times a year, because what you just said, I'm more invested in.
I haven't been to Universal other than the Epic thing. I hadn't been to Universal since 2011. So it's not as emotionally resonant.
So I went for one day in Hollywood Universal, the Universal Hollywood, and I haven't been back to the one in Orlando since 2008. And since now I'm a travel agent, I said, well, let me go check it out. And I thought they were giving me free tickets. They were actually half off. It's still pretty pricey, especially when you have an annual pass or Magic Key, then it's more money that when you're making this trip. So, but anyway, I went there and I really, really was impressed with how Universal's making the new rides. Like even we went into the Life of Pets, and I thought it was the cutest, like the most. Even the queue was like at another level, And I think that's what Universal's doing better. The experience from when you start waiting till you get on the ride. I think Disney needs a lot of work in that, because Disney for years. And I'm not talking about Disneyland, because obviously Disneyland was set up at a different time and stuff like that. But some of these new rides
forever have that struggle, and
Disneyland will always be a little bit of a relic, and I like it that way. That's how I want it.
Me too. me
I
too.
want
I don't
that
want to change.
rusty patina. I want it to always be a little rickety.
It should always feel a little bit like a state fair, just a little.
It's the local
Park, you know, like just
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, Rain, I have a question for you because I saw one of your videos and you were dressed as Miss Piggy, right?
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious.
Muppets for life.
How do you like? 'Cause there you're almost going close to cosplay, right? Of course,
Mhm.
not a Muppet, but it's getting very close. You know, is that the kind of things you like to do more or less, or?
Yeah, I do like to do full-blown cosplay, like, when I can. Obviously, it's not allowed at the park, so I'm not taking photos there, and it's expensive, so I'm a little bit slow going with it. And I'm not the most crafty or creative, so I do need to, like, buy things or find things, you know, I'm not gonna be able to craft my own costume by hand. So it is expensive for me and time-consuming, just it takes me a while to do it. But I do. I love my page it's very eclectic. That's part of why the Walt's favorite rodent name. It just kind of covers everything because like I've got a lot of my art on there. I draw. Um, I've got dolls. I've got my cosplay posts, and then I'm a major doll collector. So I've been meaning to make more. I've only got a few up so far, but I take my Disney dolls and I kind of use them to make comedy sketches. You know, I'll get like an audio that is, you know, funny and kind of goes with the character. And, you know, I just kind of play with my dolls. And normally they just sit on my shelf and are on display, and I like them for both purposes, you know. And that's one thing I realized, you know, the whole Disney cult thing and having been raised in the cult. Obviously, I have her for a mother, so I was very already just like she's got a permanent playmate. I was exposed to it very early. You know, it was always present in my life. And then I was looking at the timing and I'm looking at the math, and it's the evil genius of the Disney Corporation. It got me because the Disney Princess franchise, the Pink Void, started. It started in 1999. I was born in the year 2000. So essentially, I am the target demographic, and I was sucked in, and I did grow up literally with the Disney Princess franchise. I've been watching it as it evolved from the very beginning. I remember
The perfect age for Tinkerbell.
I remember all of the distinct eras, and then yes, Tinkerbell comes out at literally all those movies come out at the exact right age for me, and
Tinkerbell is very sassy.
and
she's
I always
very
I
sassy.
latch on. I love the Disney princesses, and the princesses are my, you know, I love them, but I do tend to latch on to, especially personality and aesthetic wise, the Tinkerbells, the Megaras, the Esmeraldas, the characters that end up being official princesses. And then I'm a big villains fan. I actually do. I love them. You need them. They move the story forward, and you know, like,
Even though I don't think Maleficent's a villain, she's one of my favorite characters. I
I
really don't
like
think she's a
your
villain.
take on that. It depends.
Yeah,
I
don't
love
think
the
she's a-
Maleficent movie.
See, I come from part of my when I built my business. I used to work for big corporations. I built it because I'm also an activist. So when I look at the Maleficent movie, I'm like, yeah, that seems to be the you know the public relations from the royal family probably.
Yeah,
That's my perspective. She's one of my favorite characters. Obviously, I'm also a big Angelina Jolie fan, so that even made it more, you know. But yeah,
I actually did.
then,
As much as some people don't love that movie, etc., I think she still performed her butt off.
oh yeah, I know. I'll give it that. I can't exactly. I'm very cynical when it comes to any kind of live action Disney remake. That's me. I don't like most of them, and even the ones that I like are at best to me passable. But I will give credit where it's due, and she was cast extremely well, and she performed perfectly.
I don't think there's any real life action movie that I would watch again, and that's
Right, yeah,
See it
that's
once and you're like,
Go
yeah,
for
that
it.
was a
Go for
movie.
it.
for me. It's
Yeah.
like going to Disney on Ice. I'm like, that was a great one-time live performance.
Exactly.
It's like, you know, and
Thanks for
it's a
that.
fun reinterpretation. But if I'm gonna watch Aladdin, I'm gonna watch Aladdin from the '90s. Like, it's just
Yeah. I just told my daughter because I wanted to see the Stitch movie. It's not happening. She's like, no, I already know the story. I don't want to. I don't want to watch
It's not. Don't let the people.
It's not as bad as
No,
people
no, no,
are
no.
saying
This
it
is my 14-year. Like this. Listen, she doesn't want to go. I'm not gonna go. But I'll watch it on TV later because
Yeah.
like these days I've been so busy. I know I'm gonna get to the movie theater. I'm gonna fall asleep. So,
Oh yeah.
so,
Okay.
so that's why. But eventually, she has that feeling like where she's not a big fan of the live action film, and this. So I saw her watching Stitch this morning, and I was like, you know what? Because we homeschool her, so she has these grades, and as long as she gets what she needs done, during the day.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, maybe she wants to watch it. So I said, maybe after I finish with Lilian and Rain, I'll head up to the movie theater. It's very close by. And she's like, well, if you want to go on your own, you can go. Yeah, I was like, okay. She's like, I already know. So
No, so
she's very easygoing, but the live action movies,
This
she's
one
like,
actually is it's darn close to a frame by frame.
it's very good. It's in most aspects. There are things about it that could have been done better and maybe more tactfully. But it's overall very heartfelt, very well done. The animation on Stitch is pretty good.
Yeah, I really wasn't as bad as it.
The little girl who's playing Lilo is amazing for her age, to be honest. She's adorable.
That child still has all her baby teeth. She's like 5 years old, and she does it that well. So I'm over here like,
Yeah.
good job, little one. It's like she made me cry. The little girl Lilo made me cry. Like she does a thing, and I'm not gonna. But like I was like, oh, they're so cute.
I might go on my own to watch it and make sure I'm rested so I don't fall asleep.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the movie, you'll enjoy that. You're gonna be like, in my opinion, I enjoyed that I could recognize.
Yeah. Because again, I was born in 2000. Lilo and Stitch was actually the first movie I ever saw in a theater as a child.
I saw that you mentioned it when I was looking at your feed to prepare for this interview. I saw you.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, and then Lilo and Stitch as a franchise is another one that I grew up alongside with all of the TV series and the extra sequels and stuff. And it was like I didn't do Pokemon, I did Lilo and Stitch, with the collecting all the different experiments and the little balls. It was very transparent, let's be real. But I want to say though, I have an interesting hack for one of the live action Disney remakes, and it does make it worth watching a second time in a very specific way. It's the only one that I've watched twice, but I stopped it at a certain point and didn't finish it, and that actually makes it a much better film.
What is it?
It's Cruella.
Oh, I just like Cruella.
Cruella, well, as an origin story for the villain, because that's not what the movie is. As an origin story for the villain, it works really well and is a really brilliant movie if you just stop it right after the fashion show where the lady is like, she killed my dogs. And then you don't do the reveal where she didn't actually kill the dogs and she's just messing with her. You don't do any of that.
You just gotta make her giggle.
You just have her like she snapped that hard and she wins. She wins against this, that's her origin story. That's how she defeats this other fashion baroness lady. And none of that extra reveal where that was actually her mother. Like basically the last quarter of the film is completely stupid. And if you just take that chunk off and stop it at a certain time marker, it's a really good movie.
Spoilers
and
ahead.
it's worth watching a second time if you stop it before it ends.
I have to retract. I did enjoy Cruella. I did enjoy Cruella too.
Yeah, I liked
And I have to agree.
95% of it.
Yeah, that was fun. See, I don't even consider that a live action remake. I thought that's just
that's a reinterpretation more than a movie. It's like when people like Christopher Robin is not a live action remake.
This is different
like
Robin
and a reinterpretation. See, there's some of them like people need to stop calling them live action remakes because some of them aren't. Some of them are
just live action movies.
Yeah,
with a
or
animated bear
retellings or weird pseudo sequels.
I love Christopher Robin.
Rain reminds me, I have a friend who's very into pop culture and stuff like that, and they would have a blast. He's he's a bit older. He's about your mom's age, but I'm 45, so I mean a bit older than you, Rain. Not so, but he when you're talking, I feel like I'm talking to him because he gets so into and he understands. He does his research, and I learned so much. Like there's a street here. There's a street here called James Bond.
Oh, nice.
When I go to the Costco, and I was like, why is there a street called James Bond in Puerto Rico? It didn't make any sense. So I posted like, what is going on here? Because I was just using Wave and it threw me to a different area. And he's like, yeah, it's not the James Bond you think. It's like, so thanks to him, I learned that James Bond was somebody who studied birds in the Caribbean. And most of the content that was created around bird migrations and how
Oh,
birds stay in the
okay.
Caribbean and stuff like was by James Bond. When the creator of James Bond, I forgot his name right now, it,
Oh,
Ian Fleming, is it? I
Ian
forgot.
Fleming. Yes,
Yeah.
Ian
When
Fleming's James Bond.
Ian Fleming was in Jamaica and he grabbed the book because he loved birds. Who was the other book? James Bond. So when he was thinking like, I want a character that
That's a
has
cool
that's neat.
fact.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
I want a character that has like a common name. Apparently at that time, James was a pretty common name in Bond because nobody knew the character, right? So that's the reason Ian Fleming grabs the name because he grabs it from this guy who was studied birds and it was just a common person that would be perfect for a spy. So I'm like, oh wow. So I went down a rabbit hole thanks to him because if it wasn't for him, I learned a ton of stuff. So I'm really enjoying listening to you, Ren, because I always like the backstory of everything. And sometimes I bore people when I keep on sharing stuff. but yeah, you're my people. Like, so I have another question. How is your typical day when you go to the parks? Like, because I guess you guys sometimes go together. Who's the planner? Who's the photographer? Who's the stylist? Or
We get very lucky when we go, to be honest. I feel like, again, because we tend to be very positive about our experiences, even when they go wrong at the parks, and because we tend to be positive with other people and bring them a lot of positive energy, and just we're nice. And because, yeah, we're very dedicated Disney fans, we have what we call our good Disney karma. We get lucky very often. Good, things don't go wrong very often. Things usually go very, very smoothly, and then they tend to go more than smoothly. We get recognized by characters. We get extra time with them. When we went to Epcot, she was dressed in her full Figment bound with the dress and the she has light up horns and everything, like they're orange horns. It's really cute. She's fully dressed as Figment. And we had a friend with us who was also like decked out in his Figment like outfit. And because of that, we're like the only people in the queue because again, nobody's riding Journey into Imagination but us. But we go into the queue and it's empty, and we're rounding the corner and the cast member is just like, oh my god, you guys are like really big Figment fans. And we're like, yeah, we are. And then she's like, do you want to come behind the scenes real quick and take some photos and sign Figment's book? And we're like, that's a thing you can do? And yeah, she pulls back this velvet rope and we get to go into that little show scene they have at the beginning, that desk office where the
reception
just for the reception desk. She let us back there and we got to sit at the reception desk and like be up close with these authentic Disney props and touch them. And we got to sign this little like phone book. And it was just, and we got our photos taken. And it was all just because she dressed up and then we were just really nice. She gave us positive energy and we gave it right back. And she's like, come back here. She come back here real quick because there's no one else in line. And, you can get right back up, like right to the ride. It won't even take a minute. It was just, we get lucky with things like that extremely often.
I would say like a typical trip for us, like I'm the planner generally. Like I'm the one that puts it together. Like, okay, this is when we're going. This is where we're staying. This is how much it's going to cost. Like
this is the reservation.
This is the reservation. Like I put all that together. I'm more adept at like being the boss. But I mean, it's like the mother-daughter relationship anyway. Right? Like I'm usually just going to dive in, take control. We usually work relatively independently on our bounds. We don't necessarily have to matchy or like, if she's a Dalmatian, I'm a Dalmatian or something like.
Yeah, sometimes we do. Sometimes it's fun, but a lot of the time we don't match at all. Yeah,
and because she tends to go villainous, deep colors and stuff, and I'm much more, not necessarily princess, just I'm the perky
characters
one.
who are going to be wearing bright colors.
Yeah, so
heroes, sidekicks.
I tend to try to build off the ears usually, and then I'll find out if there is a lounge fly bag or something else that I can get to match it. Build the outfits. I'll usually pack everything into their individual lounge fly bags so that I can pack them. It's like they become the luggage cubes. I'll try to plan us in.
Wait, we got to pause here. How many lounge flies do you take on a trip? Because I just thought about that when you said
I will generally, I'll stock the back, if we're going to Disneyland, because Disneyland will have a lot of outfit changes to begin with. So honestly, yeah, a lot. If we bring each of us a suitcase, we could potentially put 8 Loungefly bags into one suitcase.
I think on average you end up bringing like 3 or 4, and I end up bringing like 3 or 3. Yeah, like so. Yeah, we end up with like 6 or 8 total, but they're in separate suitcases.
And then yeah, I'll roll up. So like if
we put our clothes in the Loungefly, and then we put the Loungefly in the suitcase. So like
that's such a cool hack. Like, because like I used it. So my wife bought her first Loungefly, and they're not the best quality, right? They're like,
sometimes
you
it
gotta
depends.
you gotta take really good care of them, because and we live in a humid environment, so it doesn't help either. Right?
yeah,
So then, like, their initial one she made, that one isn't like, and even though she took care of it, so we just keep it as a backup. We have an owner's locker. It's something that DVC owners and people that go, that you leave it in over there in Orlando. So I use that as a convert, but I do it in the owner's locker. And then my brother gave my wife a Run Disney one, and that's the one we keep. But she has like 3 or 4 more here. But like lately, we've been trying to travel with carry-on, so it's really more complicated to try to put.
yeah.
But I've always done that. I've used it as a compression, but I've only taken one. And then you said that, I thought, I'm like, oh my God, I just realized that for them to do DisneyBounding, they need to take
Yeah, a lot of the time those bounds have to have. I'm not like I said, I'm a little bit more freestyle at the end of the day. If I have a Loungefly that'll match, I'm actually more attracted to the ears or the Loungefly bag or the t-shirt, and then I'm like,
then she'll plan
what can I like? Yeah. Or like, yes, the fact that this shirt existed and these ears existed in the same shop, boop boop, done. Like, I didn't even have to think.
It's a matching set. It just goes together.
Like when no thinking is involved, that's my favorite. But yeah, like I have the Princess Minnie Mouse Loungefly bag. I bought that bag because I had to have that bag. Then I find out, yeah, oh, there's ears. Okay, get the ears. Then I'm like, now I'm going to build a look, and I'm going to do the full bound.
Well, I have a question. How do you pack your ears? Because that's like, for example, some ears are pretty easy to pack. Like, I got my daughter, we're big fans of Chip and Dale, right? Those are my favorite 2 characters. And I got her some Rescue Ranger ears, and those specific Rescue Ranger ears are from the 100th anniversary, but they have like a magnifying glass on it, and like, we already broke the magnifying glass once, because if you try to press, like, anyway, but some ears are easy to pack, some are a little bit more sensitive. How do you pack them?
I'll be honest. So if I can, a lot of the time you can slip the ears into the Loungefly, right? If I'm packing, it goes in a bit sideways. My outfit is like, there is a lot of ironing and steaming that does take place in our hotel room.
Yeah, we steamers
on the arrival day. Everything's rolled up, kind of compressed and in bag, and then the ears can slip in. When that isn't possible, I will tend to lay them gently, and then because if you put them in flat, and then I put that little zipper flappy, they're generally where I put them by the time I get to my destination.
Maybe I thought of that only situation because I don't think of any other ears that are as fragile as those because of how they're set up.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would.
We don't own a lot of fragile ears, is the thing. Like, that's the like.
Yeah, because most of them are pretty soft. This one has like hard components that if you put it in the luggage in the wrong way. But I just wanted to hear, and then
I actually can't think of a way that something like that might not get busted.
Maybe just like wrap it in bubble wrap in your suitcase or something and hope for the best. I
think they go on the wall at your house and never ever travel again. That's what I think.
Oh no, my daughter's taking her so I gotta get very creative, and we have a super gorilla glue.
Hot glue.
Yeah. So you said that you like things that are like you said. I found the T-shirt. I found that's how my wife operates, right? But then the other day I saw that, or something you posted that you bought like Lady in the Tramp ears, and that's where you mentioned the run dress, right?
Yeah.
What happens when something like that happens? I know you have a good attitude with it.
Yeah.
Like how do you, like, let's say if you were traveling, something like that happens. Do you use it?
Oh, well, yeah, I definitely would not have packed that dress to be. I don't think that outfit is coming with me specifically.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we
read.
never like had anything happen during traveling like that. We tend to do everything ahead of time.
I always, my problem is I end up forgetting really important things
Yeah.
like makeup. I have done that.
Yeah.
We've had to go to Target or Walmart. Yeah, Disneyland again. This is the Disneyland version of things.
Yeah, I'm so concerned with packing my Disney bound that I forget my toothbrush and toothpaste, and like that's just like
Yeah, I went to Universal without a toothbrush. I had to go
like,
straight
it's
to
just
Walgreens after I figured that out.
several times I have just not had pajamas on my trip.
The first thing she has to buy is an oversized T-shirt when we get somewhere.
I don't know if it happens to both of you, but usually what you need is then you're like, yeah, I can find that. Then you can't find it. Like we had a situation where we at that time we were still living close to the beach. We lived pretty close to the beach, but not on the beach like before. And my daughter had used her favorite sandals, and they were kind of wet, so I didn't want to put them in the bag at that time. Forgot them. Like, yeah, it's Florida, it's fine. It's September, not a problem. We couldn't find sandals.
Yeah,
We
because
found,
back to school.
I believe clothing has no gender, but the reality was she likes pink, she likes purple. So everything, we ended up going to the boys area and that was the only thing that was available. We're like, it's Florida, it's hot all year round. It's like 105-degree weather. And it was so
Oh,
funny because I was,
we lived on Oahu for 8 years, and the clothing still rotates. So we were getting sweaters.
It was so weird. Yeah, look at sweater. They would bring out winter clothing, and it's like we don't have winter here. Why are we doing this? Like, why are
here they'll bring the other day in the Marshalls, I saw like stuff to be ice your car. You're like import because Hawaii, depending if you go up to the mountains, Hawaii can get a little bit cold.
A little
Right?
bit
Because
chilly.
yeah.
there's snow in Hawaii. There's no snow in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Why are you selling the icing material for your windshield? But it was because it was in the TJ Maxx, and I guess they just sent it, and it was on.
They just sent
like,
it.
They just have it. It's part of their
who's gonna
stock.
buy it because it's not something you can travel with. It's liquid, right? But
Yeah.
no, but I understand. But anyway, that happens to me. That normally the thing that I forget, that I'm like, I can easily find it, and then it's an issue. But so
I that does happen a lot. I'll say, okay, I did it. I've packed. Everything is where it should be. But if you ask me where did I put it, I'm not gonna know which. No, I don't know. I don't know.
listen,
Like once we get there, we have to just tear it all apart.
in a few decades, Rain will understand us. But like I know now at 45, I forget stuff, and like I'm like first when I pack, I'm ex-military, so I have everything set. I want to be able to go put my hand inside of the luggage and find things without even having to look. That's how I am, right? But then the thing is, I have to keep now a checklist. Before I would do really good without the checklist. I made my checklist and I have it, and now if whoever books with me, I share that checklist in a more
Yeah.
a nice looking way because mine is more the analytical. The accountant in me is like, but for somebody because I if not that would happen to me often. I have another question. What is the favorite part of you guys creating content together?
Oh, I love it. I just love spending time with my daughter.
Yeah, honestly, we both love Disney so much and going to Disney so much, and we vacation well together. We are very similar people overall. That's just how the cards laid down. Just we're very like-minded. We get along extremely well. We're very close, and so like we do well as like vacation partners. We can both go with the flow very easily, and we just have a good time because both of us are of the same mindset completely, basically, when we go to the park, which is just complete freedom to just indulge in whimsy, and
Number one.
just a complete lack of shame and embarrassment.
Yes.
Just, like everyone is just supposed to have a good time there, as long as it's, good, as long as it's, within reason and it's good behavior, it's like you just do whatever you want and just don't worry about who's judging or what you're wearing or so.
And I feel like creating with Rain when we get to too is it's just a way like it's like she's gonna help me redo my Lady Bound at this point.
Yeah, like
It's a way to just be connected and bond. Honestly, we bond over these things. She's like I having more fun with it as far as trying to grow and you
Yeah,
know,
she's
like
more motivated to like build like a page that's like,
so, and like she's very encouraging, so I can be like, hey, I've got something coming up and I need, like you need to share this one or whatever, things like that. So she's very supportive. So it's like it's really good having like a built-in cheerleader. And then like we have the same sense of humor, the same, like she just doesn't, none of the things I want to do to her are strange. Like, when we went to we got to do the D23 ball, and there was just like that wasn't out of the question. She has a job, so she makes money. So it's like, yeah, we spent a mint on ball gowns and hotel room and the chance to like be in a ball gown and meet Mickey Mouse, which was actually like the main goal, which isn't that like, isn't that hilarious that the main goal was to, well, Minnie, I wanted to meet Minnie in her ball gown in a ball gown. And she's like, okay, let's do that. Let's go and do that,
But I think the way we live, like we don't live close to family members and stuff like that. So like we love them, but we're not as close. So we're not as
Yeah.
influenced so much. Because like sometimes I hear stuff people do or the way some people are, my camera again. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I installed software here. There we go. Let's start again. So one thing that um see now it happened to me. So one thing that I like, since we don't have that pressure from family, like there, like
Yeah.
because when you I have cousins who are always together and they're always with, and they're like, then they are always influenced by somebody else's opinion. We live in Puerto
Mhm.
Rico. My parents, my mom no longer with us. My dad lives in Connecticut. My wife's mom lives in Connecticut. So we're so far away that we don't get as influence of like you have to do things like this and that. And then I don't like to be in, like I said, I like to be in environments that are different. And one thing I love about my island is like what you said earlier, like, oh, I shouldn't wear this because, I'm not of an age. Like most people here, they don't care. They're going to wear it and they're going to make the best out of it. And I just love that because you'll go somewhere and everybody's having fun. And of course, one person might say something, they're going to tell you whatever because it's just how humans act. But nobody's going to make you feel uncomfortable if you're different, right? If you go to the
yeah,
beach right now, I live near the beach. You could tell who the tourists are because
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're gonna see somebody who has a different body shape and she's in her bikini having a good time, and then you see some of the tourists more like worried about how they look, and it's
They're all
like
covered
at
up.
least at least our culture is more of like, look, own it, be it. So I love the fact that you guys can connect in a way because that's something that when I go to the States, I feel it. Like I see it. And then when you're like at one point I was traveling the southern part of the US, being as part of an IT security team, it was my Indian coworkers and me. We didn't look like and we didn't talk like the people that were near us. And then you start realizing like, wow, these people have never probably left this neighborhood or this community. So this
Yeah.
is why this is so strange, right? And for me, I've moved around so much and I try to
Mhm.
relate myself with so many different people that I always
Yes.
have, and I always try to connect. Like, okay, you guys are in San Antonio. I have friends who live in San Antonio, but you love Disney, so here we're talking, right? We might not have anything else in common, and I think that's what's unique about what I've heard from Jenny and both of you is the sense of community that Disney Bounding brings.
Yes.
And it's even more beautiful when I said, hey, Lena, would you like to go? I have to be there, but my daughter has to be in it, because it just creates a tighter bond. That's amazing. So I want to compliment you on that.
Yeah, no,
The other,
my page would not exist if Rain hadn't like encouraged me, period. Like she was just, I mean, I just didn't even know. Like I had an Instagram, but I mean, I was just posting like random pictures of food in Valencia, like just random crap. And she's like, no, this can be a whole thing. And there are people, and then they do this and they do that. And then and I just kind of dove in slowly with like a lot of it. We do have a lot of stuff. We're collectors. So let us start off with like, look at this castle. I bought it at the Magic Kingdom in 1995. I love my castle. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was just sharing my Disney with whoever might look. And then, then small shops started showing up. And I think that was where I got excited because I don't care if I never become famous on this or grow to some astronomical number or start getting paid big money. I love hyping small shops. I love watching other people get being able to do things, maybe because I gave them some advice, or yeah, like the ear creators, the ones who make earrings, like they're trying to make a little money to pay for their Disney trip. And if they are asking me to put on that pair of earrings and smile for the camera, and I make no money, I got a free pair of earrings out of the deal, but like,
I mean, you still supported an artist.
I love
gives you,
dreams. Like everybody has a dream, whatever that dream is, they should be able to make it come true. And if I can be in any way a part of that, I will do it.
It's funny. Yesterday, I had that interview with Jane and Laura, and some of the questions that I had for them, they were answering them, and it's happening right now. I was going to ask you, what small shops do you love to hype right now? And here you mentioned hyping a shop. So let's just get it out of the way. Is there any shops right now that you like?
Yes. We actually just Disneyland Club 1955 just reached out, and I do have a collaboration with them coming up. It's a surprise box, so I actually don't know what's coming. Pixie Dust Designs by D makes unique character earrings in sublimation, and also does resin pieces like this. They're very cute. And then we have one shop that I'm with right now, Fairy Tale Wish Designs. They are on maternity leave, but I do work with them, and they do custom. She makes everything.
Yeah, Fairy Tale Wish. If you need like a shirt, if you need ears, if you need earrings, if you need
cups. She's a Jane of all things Disney inspired. And I'm a huge fan, and we've been working together for years now. I think that's it for like major. Oh God, I feel like a jerk now. Is there anybody else that I'm not thinking about?
I'm not sure.
I love to hype. I mean, I'll hype Shop Disney even though they're not paying me. I will hype.
They don't need the traffic shop.
I know. But World 11 Games is a small business outside. They're somewhere in LA. They sell they're a small shop that they're licensed to do like lounge flies and ears. So I do work with them as an affiliate as well. And they're just like, they do baseball cards and stuff on the side, like a little business, but yeah, I really enjoy, I love seeing artists make art. I love anytime I can promote anything. It's probably like that little part of me that thought maybe someday I'd grow up and be like a commercial actress or something, like done.
There's still time for that.
See, look. See, I'm good. Buy this cup. It's a cute cup.
We need to do our weekly video of hyping up small shops and just picking one. But hey, there's always time for that. So you mentioned a bunch of shops, but do you have any favorite pieces that you use over and over again? I know Figment Socks is going to be one, but
my Figment horns. Those were my first ever. That was the first time I reached out to a designer. It was Fairy Tale Wish Designs, because she did custom work, and I was like, hey, I don't want Figment ears. I want to be Figment, and he has horns, and I want big, glorious horns. And she did it. I mean, they're perfect. They are, then I've worn them so much, they're actually wrecked.
She needs a new pair. I need to commission another one.
She offered to repair them for me free of charge. So I just got to get them sent over. But the lights are all coming off.
Yeah, and they're well loved.
They're very well loved ears.
That's what's awesome, right? When you work with somebody like that and you promoted them and stuff like that, they'll take care of you too, so that's kind of cool. And then how about for you, Rain?
I don't honestly do the small shop as the veil ears. Oh, well, as far as ears you wear the most.
From a small shop.
Oh, they're not a small shop, but those would be ears that she wears all the time.
Those are
Which
from
ones
like
are
your Tinkerbell ears.
Oh yes.
Is it 101 mouse ears?
Yes, I think that
101 mouse ears.
101 mouse ears on Etsy. They made for me this pair of Tinkerbell ears that light up. The bow is
they actually look like the ones that are at World of Disney right now, only hers are 3 years old.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, look at us.
yeah, but they're a very cute pair of ears. They're the green leaf pattern, and then it's a gold glittery bow with a little like white pom pom at the center, and then you just flip a switch and they light up.
And I'd like to bring Gabby back out to the parks. I got a lot of compliments on that look. Because
Yeah, funny thing is, you said it, I'm like, yeah, I can see how she can do like look like Gabby Gabby.
yeah, I have a pair. 101 Mouse Ears did a pair of Gabby ears for me that were custom as well, and I love them. So I would definitely bring that look back. Again. Now I have a lot more hair. When we started going to Disneyland, the post-COVID revenge traveling that we did, I had very, 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 very short hair, which worked. Honestly, you can throw on any ears, any outfit, and you look good. So my look has changed, so I need to collect new content.
Yeah.
So I think I have to go back to Disney soon. The next one, actually, I'm just going to go to Disney Springs, and we're going to the Polynesian this summer just for breakfast. I'm just kind of sneaking Disney in where I can.
Yeah, it's like not an official Disney trip, but she's still gonna.
I gotta get on property
somehow.
But you're going to the Polynesian for
just for Ohana breakfast. To be honest, my brother has he's an IGH like timeshare guy, and so we are headed out to Orlando to the Orange Lake Resort for like 4 days. Mostly just gonna staycation there. They've got all the stuff. They have stuff to do right there. And then our last day, we're gonna drive on over and have breakfast with the characters, immediate stop for Dole Whip afterward, and then go probably to Disney Springs, do a little shopping. Just it's me and the little boys this I'm taking. But yeah, I had to I still have to get in there.
When we finish, just let me know when you're going, because one of my best friends, he's a sous chef at Ohana. We'll make sure that you're well taken care of when you're there. Yeah.
See, I never expect Pixie Dustin.
No.
I know.
He's awesome. He used to be a chef. Before I bought the VC, we used to stay at the moderate resorts, and we love staying at the French Quarter.
Yes.
I'm still vegetarian, but I was vegan for about 10 years.
Okay.
Mostly I eat vegan. Thing is that, after the pandemic and living on an island, certain islands were not available. And I was like, you know what, I'll eat cheese and stuff like that. But now there's really good pizzerias nearby. So I went back. The only time I eat non-vegan is because I'm having a good pizza. But it was, this is before Disney had the plant-based options set up, and so you had to talk to a manager, you had to talk to a chef. And there were these two chefs who we call in Puerto Rico New Yorican, which is people from Puerto Rican ancestry, were born in New York, right?
Yes.
And then one of them looked just like my cousin, and when I started talking to him, my cousin had an Irish dad and a Puerto Rican mom.
Irish Cuban.
He has an Irish mom and a Puerto Rican dad. So that's why he looks so much like my cousin, right? And then there was Jennifer, who's no longer working with Disney, and they used to pamper us. Like I used to get eating at a quick service, I would get better meals than sit down, because they would make vegan jambalaya for me, and the way they would plate it would look like it's coming something better than some of the sit down restaurants. And then
I love that.
And then they were there until the pandemic, and after the pandemic, the French Quarter closed down. And it didn't operate for a while, and he got moved over to the Polynesian. We're really good friends now. Last time I saw him, I was at his kid's birthday party. Disney has like a place for cast members to just hang out.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a campground. So they did that there. So it was kind of cool. But anyway, if you're going up to Ohana, I'll make sure you just let me know what the date it is. And we'll figure it out. Yeah, and
it's Disneyland's anniversary. We're on July 17th.
Oh, July 17th? Okay.
Yeah, we'll just be on the other side, though. We'll be in Florida.
Oh, yeah, at least it won't be as packed. I can't imagine how packed it would be.
I know that there were the Magic Key holders, man, they couldn't get in. So, I kind of wanted to be there, but I'm gonna wait for the 100th. I'm doing it. I'm gonna live that long, and on 2055, I will have my tickets purchased the minute.
And Ray's gonna be our age.
Yeah, she'll be 55. She'll be 55 in 2055. So she'll be pushing me around in my wheelchair, and I will be there for the 100th.
Hopefully she can help me too. But anyway, we'll be there. I don't like crowds. I'm not a big fan of crowds. And then one thing, especially if it's hot, the crowds, people get a little bit nasty. So, you know, I rather go when there's not. I rather go when there's less people. And when I go to the parks, I go early in the morning, and as soon as it gets crowded, I hit a sit-down restaurants, have lunch, and I'm back to the hotel doing other stuff.
That's the exact same thing. That's part of our typical Disney day. Our typical Disney day, because it gets really hot, and it gets really crowded at a certain point of day, and we just kind of like I just take a break, and then we conserve more energy, honestly, and we're able to make it to.
Yeah, I have learned absolutely the pure joy of the midday nap. I would not honestly at this point in my life, because I do have chronic pain. And some of it I think is probably mental health related, but I have hip arthritis and things like that. I'm working toward being scooter people at the park. It's just where I'm headed, but there's no way, like our Epcot days, if we hadn't gone back to the hotel room, we were there in late June, first of all. So it was just gloriously hot, you know, and I would just come back to the hotel room. Honestly, my boys, they had all the energy in the world. So I'd be like, go stay outside, go play with your droids, whatever. But I would turn off all the lights, turn the air down to like whatever, basically take off all my clothes and go to sleep for 2 hours and just get cold and recharge, because otherwise.
And we go so often that sometimes we really have to go back to the park, right? Because it's like I see people who get there and they want to be from park, and that's fine if you just go in there one day, but then it's like, no, with me, I also like to stay in nice hotels, so I want to enjoy the resort. But even if I just rather just do something else, like, you know, either go to the mall or do something relaxing where especially if it's very crowded, right? So yeah, I think so. And then I'm gonna start wrapping up because I don't want this to go so long when it comes to the video.
We're having so much fun.
No, we can keep on talking after. What are your favorite go-to rituals or traditions in the parks as a family or as?
Oh, okay.
Columbia Harbor House.
Yes, we always go to the Columbia Harbor House and we get the clam chowder and the chicken fingers. It's just a tradition. I don't know. It's just a thing we do.
A lot of it is food.
A lot of it is food related. We tend to go to the same places and get the same foods. It's just safe. Honestly, I think it's mostly like it's not that we're not adventurous, but it's like when you spend that much money to just go to the park and be there, and you can only be there so often, you go with the food option you already know you like from last time.
Listen, but that's the thing with Disney, right? And like that's one thing I don't like about it. Like you can get the same like sit down restaurant. Like I remember at one time I had a vegan guide to go to Disney before everything was labeled in Spanish. So I went. The only time I did the dining plan, which even though I'm a travel agent, I can get a better commission. I recommend my clients not to take it because I'm thinking of their pocket, right? And how much sense it makes. Plus, the project, it becomes of monitoring points and stuff like that. Just too much chaos, more chaos to an already chaotic vacation. I remember I went to Skipper Canteen and I was so happy with the food.
I need to go there.
Yeah. We had the dining plan for 14 days. I remember the lady said, like, I've never seen anybody stay for 14 days having the dining plan. And it was because I wanted to make all these reviews on all these restaurants so I can update the guide, right? So I went to Skipper Canteen and it was so good that I was like, 2 days later, I went back and they're like, oh, we don't do that. I was like, you did 2 days ago. They're like, no. And the food was bad. And I was like, okay. And that's like, there's one thing that's consistent in Disney is that you can have a really awesome experience here. And then maybe the next day, nope.
It is weird.
My number one Disney advice is do not set expectations. As hard as that is, as much money as you put out there, as much as you want the perfect trip, you can't set expectations that high, no matter how much money you forked over, because if you're not the only person there, you're not the only one who's forked over that much money. You'll make yourself miserable. You have to just
I love what Ray said because there's one thing that I don't like hearing, and it's when I guess is well, but I paid a lot of money. It's like, yeah, well, because everybody here came in for free, and we didn't,
Yeah, you're the
but
only one. Like, you
but
didn't pay for special treatment. You paid to be here the same amount anybody else did.
to add to what Lilian said, the most important thing I tell people is, did you tell the right person that it went wrong, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
same way that when I have an outside experience, I want to figure out how to send a cast compliment, and because I do that too. When it's
Yes.
wrong,
Yes.
I have to find somebody to let them know it was wrong.
Yeah.
But what do most people do? They'll go on like there's so many Facebook groups. They'll go and complain to Facebook. Nobody's gonna resolve the issue in your Facebook group. Like it's so every time I
Yeah.
have a bad experience, I make sure I take the time and talk. And it probably people might think I'm a Karen or something. I don't care.
It
But
depends on how you. It depends
I
on
go
how you do it.
I go in a respectful way. And
Yeah.
again, I've had really good experiences where the person's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then I had really bad experiences where a cast member gets defensive. It's like, what are you getting defensive for? And I kind of saw the change in behavior when COVID hit, because before COVID, a lot of cast members knew that they had job security. After that, Disney did such a poor job taking care of cast members that I understand why they don't care, because Disney didn't care
You're
about them no more,
jaded.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's gotten better, after the restart and stuff like that. But I remember we went same thing. I don't think I would go back to skipper counting because last year I went and we had somebody who I could tell didn't want to take care of a family that didn't look like her, because
Oh,
it's a
all right.
and I was seeing how she was taking care of everybody, and I'm being extremely
Oh,
nice. I'm like, maybe
no.
she's having a bad day, and the food came out bad, and she didn't care. I asked for a supervisor. The supervisor was like, "Well, that's what it is." And I was like, "What? This is not the Disney experience I'm used to."
Yeah.
And I remember I went to the front. I went to the front to guest relation, and because I do complain a lot, because I spend a lot of time there. We spend our more than 50 days a year at
Yeah.
Orlando only. So obviously there's gonna be more complaints than your regular guest who comes every 5 years, right? And the guy in the front was also not having the best day. And when I said, "Hey, I want at least my meal to be comped. I don't need you to count the whole meal, but I didn't eat this." And the guy was like, "Oh, I can't do anything about it, blah, blah, whatever." I'm like, "No, then I need a supervisor." And he said, "Oh no, I see you complain a lot here." And I said, "Yes, I do." And because you see I complain there, see all the resolutions that Disney has taken care of, that's why I returned. I said, now difference here is, if you're going to be part of the problem when I send those emails that I usually send, or you're going to be one of the helpers. And as soon as I said that, the person got out, and then they're like,
Exactly.
they gave me a gift card, which is the stupidest thing, because the item was like $20. All I wanted there was a comp, but it got so bad that they gave me a $50 gift card. I'm like, I didn't want the gift card. I just wanted you to comp it. But again, sometimes it's uncomfortable to go and complain, but if you don't do it, it's not going to get better, right? Because so I agree with you. You have to don't set big expectations, but if they didn't even meet the lower standard,
If they don't meet the minimum, then yeah, obviously we had a terrible time. Our hotel room. I mean, it was a good neighbor hotel in LA, in Anaheim, for the convention. And our shower, there's a hotel, and the water was coming out cold. And no matter what we did, no matter how long that can't even be legal, because you're supposed to have hot water on demand in those places. And then they would come, and I'm like shivering. I died. I took the shower anyway because I was already soapy by the time it happened. But then they're coming, and they're running the water, running the water, running the water, running the water. Finally, they're like, "Oh, it's warm." I'm like, this. And then I touched it. It's the same temperature it was. They just said it was warm and left. They didn't do anything to actually fix it. And I get that it was probably a boiler issue below. They couldn't have fixed it from our room. But what they needed to know, they needed to know the
knew what it
boiler.
was.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, I'm not a stupid person. You have a boiler somewhere doing the work. It's not sending hot water to me. Running my faucet here is not going to help the boiler over there. So thanks.
And then for the rest of the trip, what sucked was we did complain about it, but for the rest of the trip, it was like that. They never actually
They didn't move us.
what we didn't know if move, cause they're acting like it's our faucet that's the problem. Well, then move us at least, right? If it's our faucet.
If it's just one faucet, but that's what sometimes, and not only Disney or the neighbor hotel, that happens everywhere. The worst thing you can make somebody feel is like I know what you're doing. It's just like we had last year. We spent a lot of time in September after Hurricane Maria, which hit Puerto Rico pretty
Yeah,
badly.
yeah.
I don't want to be here in September. I have PTSD. So I usually use most of my timeshare points, which is DVC, in September, and we
Yeah,
were
and that's
there.
another reason why you're used to low crowds. September's
Yeah.
But,
perfect.
but I don't
The
know about
best.
that because lately, even in September is busy. But let's see this September with it. Hopefully, Epic will fix that.
Well, the revenge traveling is starting to come
Yeah,
down too.
people have been like extra at Disney's ever since COVID.
So with multiple, when I do DVC, sometimes I want to change a room. My brother decided to come before, so I had to do multiple check-ins. We checked into the beach club, the AC wasn't working. And I live in the tropics, so I'm not somebody that's coming from Connecticut like my brother. Like we run the AC at a 75, 74, we're fine. Not what people have to bring in a 68. And I'm like, listen, it's not that the AC is not cold enough. It's not working at all. And it's September, the beginning of September. It was
Yeah,
actually the end of August, which is extremely hot.
hot.
And then they didn't do anything. So they're like, oh, we're gonna give you credit, blah blah. Never gave me credit on it. I go to the next hotel. We stayed in a room. The room was fine, but then my brother was coming in. We were at the Copper Creek.
Okay.
I took a 2-bedroom room, which is pretty expensive room. Because I wanted my sister and my brother to be comfortable, and I wanted to try out a 2-bedroom room. We get there. The room took forever to get ready. We finally got a room. We're drenched because it started raining. It's rainy season. It's normal. We sit down, and I look up, and my brother looks up. My brother's a chef, and I used to be a military instructor, which inspecting stuff. Where like, I look up, and there's like literally whatever the guests before left, because these rooms have a kitchen. They had like crackers, tuna stuff, and now in my head, I'm like, if they didn't even see that, they must have not cleaned the rest
They
of the
didn't
room.
come in and clean the room like at all. Yeah.
Yeah, so because if something so obvious was left behind where I can see it, when we went into those bathrooms, I'm not gonna go into the detail, but it was nasty.
Oh,
Then the casters, the manager they sent says, "You sure you guys didn't do this?" So like, you gotta be kidding me. So 4 days,
That's so
so
cartoonish.
and my brother is a lot more patient than I am when it comes to those things. I was in the front desk. He handled it better than I would have. He's like, I'm so glad you were not here because this guy would have had like,
I don't need to leave till 2:30. Okay.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
well,
no, you're fine.
so
No, you're fine. I had
so
an
we
ADD moment.
so finally 4 days go by, nothing happens. Like we literally have to leave the room, and they gave us a room even later than what it was supposed to be check in. I went to the front desk section. Listen, I already have the situation or in a base club. Nothing was done. I need some compensation because I paid for a room to be ready early. The room wasn't ready. So we met this manager. It was really awesome. He called that head because we were going to the Grand Floridian, which is where I own my most of my time, to make sure that didn't happen again because we like the previous day we had issues with the Grand Floridian. We got to the room and there was I guess the kids were playing under the bed, and there was candy stuck to the rug. And it's like this is like
This
so
is the Grand
thanks.
Floridian.
Yes,
Letting their
yes.
child do
And
that.
then you would think that they're like well, let's get this fixed. It took them 2 days to go clean a room because they kept on since when you're DVC, your room's only supposed to be clean every 4 days. So
Yeah.
even though they have the mistake, they're like, oh, we just clean, like it never used to be. But anyway, long story short, thanks to that manager, now I know the head of housekeeping at the Grand Floridian.
Nice.
So such a sweet lady. Before I get there, I was gonna tell, hey, so and so, okay, oh, we'll take care of it now. But you shouldn't have to go through that,
Yeah.
It should be ready. But then if I wouldn't have complained, I wouldn't have the access I have now to make sure I don't have these issues. And then since you have to leave soon, what is your favorite ride?
Oh, okay. So I am a haunted mansion, just like I am all in it. I love everything about it. I love I love the lore that Disney's given it. I love like the old like when fans like and the cast members had created that website and they created their own like lore for it. And I love just the ambiance of it more than anything else. I love the aesthetic of the haunted mansion.
I'm gonna follow up. Who's your favorite Haunted Mansion character there?
I would have to say iconography wise, my favorite just I love the look of the tightrope girl,
Mm.
the stretching portrait. Um, but if I had to pick like an actual animatronic, that's hard. Honestly,
Wait,
I really like I like basically the ballroom scene overall. The ballroom dancers might be like my favorite of the animatronics, and the dueling portraits. I love that gimmick.
look, so I have a family member that he connects with the other side, right? And he was on the ride. I'm not gonna mention who he is. He's gonna see this. He's gonna know who he is. He's very private with it. Um, when he went through that room, he's like, "This is what I see using." And I was like, "What?" And I've had experiences with him when
That's so cool.
when our grandfather was passing away. My grandfather, like, he helped me understand what was going on with my grandfather when he was moving to the other side. So he's very connected in that way. He's very private with it. I'm not gonna get annoyed that he sees it, but when he said that, I'm like, "Why? This is why I like this." But which Haunted Mansion is your favorite, Ray? The one in Disneyland or the one in Disney World?
Oh, see, that's so hard because both have merits on completely different sides. Like, for example, I would say I like the outside look of the Disney World mansion more.
I have to agree. I
I'm
have to
not a
agree.
fan of plantation houses.
Well, I'm not a fan of plantation houses either, but
For obvious reasons.
And I like that it has that big observatory. I like it's old Gothic New York Dutch is the style. Very Sleepy Hollow. Um, and so the outside of it, I like more at Disney World. And then, of course, it's a longer ride. There's a few more scenes that they added. But then Disneyland has, it's the original. It has its own unique charm. And then they're the one that they just replaced the bride again. And I'll be real,
And it's awesome.
I was never a fan of Constance. I was never a fan of her. So it's like, and then you've got the Disneyland's version has the Hatbox Ghost in a much more appropriate spot.
Yes.
I am not a fan of the Disney World placement of the Hatbox Ghost. I don't have a problem with him being there. I have a problem with where they put him. So it's like both have these extreme weaknesses and both have extreme, things that are wonderful about them. You've got the queue. Both of them now have, unique queues as well. So it's hard for me to pick one, but if I'm gonna go like off the wall, it's one I've never even actually been to. I'll pick Tokyo because Tokyo is a combination of both. It has the best aspects of Disneyland's original and the stuff that they added from the from Magic Kingdom. And then of course it's an even newer ride, so it has its own like new effects and its own like extra stuff that the other two don't have either. So it's like the best of both worlds. So if I had to pick like the ultimate haunted mansion that is a true haunted mansion, not Phantom Manor or whatever, it would be Tokyo.
I agree with you. I love the queue in Magic Kingdom. Like, because when you go into the Disneyland one, you just walk by and it says she's going to a house, right?
it's gorgeous now.
Yeah, they did update it. It has a really good queue
I
now.
went through it. I still like I was there in March, right? Because last year when we went, it was under construction. Well, let me rephrase this. The queue on the outside, right? Not the queue on the inside. The queue on the inside, I give it to you. That when you walk in to get into the buggy, there's nothing that beats that Disneyland one. But on the outside, if you're still outside, not going to the mountain yet, I still think Disney World does a little bit better.
It's more
It's
entertaining.
a little bit more,
yeah. But especially as a photographer, right? And then me, I love the Haunted Mansion, and I didn't realize that there's so many people are very loyal to the
it's a dedicated fan base.
Yeah, it's a very dedicated fan base. Thank you. And for me, Madame Carlota, who comes out during the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. The only reason I go back to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween is just the happiest guys on Madame Carlota. Everybody, my daughter and my wife know I don't need to do anything else but to walk over and see Madame Carlota. And I have over the years, I've taken photos of Madame Carlota, and those are my favorite photos. Now, seeing Madame Carlota, they were like, she was not like, because they banter with you, and I love, but she was, I guess, she was just like, yeah. But every other year, that's like, I'm still gonna go this year. I already bought my tickets just to see Madame Carlota, so I'm a big Haunted Mansion one. I agree with you. How about you for you?
It's a Small World is my number one ride.
That's a controversial one.
I know. It's just so special. It definitely goes back. My mom wrote it at the World's Fair in '64, and I grew up in Central Florida. I grew up in Titusville, so I was about an hour away.
Well,
We didn't go a lot.
near Puerto.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't go a lot. We were lower middle class. But the times we went, my parents made no bones about making sure that we knew everything that they had kind of gone through as kids. Like my dad, he was born in 47, so he was a Mouseketeer. He put on the ears and watched the show in the TV with his cinema.
Yeah, like it runs in the family.
And
That's
you
all.
know, and my mom was born in Cuba and she came over, in the 60s, but like they had all the same, media. So she grew up on Disney and she had a dog named Lady in Cuba, like so when they came to the States, she ended up going to the World's Fair. She rode all of them, the Skyway, she saw Lincoln, all of it, but she would make it like I rode this in 1964 at the World's Fair when it was, and this, and I know that it's so
if,
just, it was
if you ever meet anybody that went to the World Fair, my uncle, the one that talks a lot, even more than I do, he went to the World's Fair. He will mention it consistently about different things. It was such a unique experience for him. He's 77 now.
and
Like,
so,
and every time he mentioned, like, the World Fair comes in many conversations outside even of stuff at Disney, right?
yes.
Because, Puerto Rican young kid went to New York and got to go to the World's Fair. And he was like, wow, pretty amazing.
And it was incredible. Yeah, so it was the same thing. The Carousel of Progress would actually fall under that category as well, of that nostalgia, how I could watch my mom and dad lighting up in those moments. It was more because my parents, we won't get into a lot of it. They're curmudgeons. They're no longer with us. They weren't the most pleasant individuals all the time. And they would cut loose and become big kids and cry at Peter Pan's flight and get into the tiki birds and so I really soaked that in. My Disney memories as a child were of my parents being so great. And definitely, yeah, Small World. My mom, look at that, look at that, look at that. She would get into it. And
then Small World in general, it's just such an innocent, pure ride. And like, yeah, you got your people who are gonna be like, it's crazy.
the song and the dolls.
I was like, I personally do not find the song annoying. It's a beautiful message. It's a sweet song that it's children's voices. Yes, it repeats over and over again, but you get off the boat eventually.
You do get off the boat.
It's not gonna follow you for the rest of your life. It really isn't. And like people who want to joke about it or be scared or like make a big deal about it being creepy, whatever, it's not. I bet you're projecting something onto it because you watch Child's Play at 7 years old.
Yeah, I think it means I think that ride does, and even before we had big words like representation and
yeah, it's like it
matters.
The fact that they wanted to unify the world a little bit and create this, all the children of the world matter. It's such an innocent and pure thing.
Like there's the dolls that represent Latin America. Depending, and people will argue, right? She might be Cuban, she might be Puerto Rican, but like I see her with her big, I've cosplayed as her with her big bow and her sticks, and I'm like, there I am, there we are.
I think I have to agree with you because when you mention Carousel of Progress, that's one thing that I can go in there, but like it was one, not everybody lived that way in those times, right? Only
right,
not
exactly.
So but I can understand. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, especially because when it's really hot, it's a great place to and I enjoy it more because of the mechanics of the animatronics and what was going on at that time and what they were able to do. But the story,
we're big Imagineering fans.
I can't connect with the story because none of my family members live that way,
Yeah.
But then when you say it's a small world, especially now, anybody can go through there and they can identify with one
Somebody.
of those.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, we're huge Imagineering fans. We're just like we have a love of the art of Mary Blair. And that's and not
animatronics.
Yeah, and not just as an animator, like as an animator and as an Imagineer, she had a very distinct art style with the small children and the round shapes and the geometric and the dark black backgrounds with these like neon splashes of color and pastels and it's garish and ugly, but somehow it's beautiful and works and all these colors. Just her use of color theory was extremely brilliant, and it's just I can appreciate her artwork in that ride as well.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be like mad, sad, upset. Like you take it in visually, and it's just joyful. It's joyful.
Now,
It's joyful.
I have a controversial question for Lilian. Disneyland or Disney World? A Small World.
Disney,
Which one is your favorite?
yeah, Disneyland, in my opinion, because well, it's the original. That's the guy, right? That's the dude. That's the water that they did the thing with the ceremony, and they poured the waters from all over the world into the water, right? So the nostalgia, I jump right to the nostalgia. I would probably say overall, Magic Kingdom probably has a superior product because of the water to land illusion that you get is so much more seamless. You're not on like the tube flume.
Yeah.
And as a oh no, they put it back. I like the visual of the Magic Kingdom too better, as much as I love the clock face. I love the Small World Mall at Disneyland. Like love.
I
love
just
colors. The colors at Magic Kingdom, to me, it's so much more vibrant, and it's what I grew up with. It was pastel when I grew up. It didn't change to gold until Disneyland turned 50. And now they put it back to color again. And so when I got in there this last summer, it was my first time since they painted it, and I was like, oh, it's back.
that's cool. But I
But with
think
Mr. Blockface, which was the new addition.
I love the Disneyland one. Like I don't think there's like I maybe again because I didn't go there as a kid, right? And it's not that I don't enjoy the Disney World one, but I like the Disneyland one so much because it's just the fact that you're outside, inside,
Yeah.
and it goes more with the story of what everything was made of, right? Of this
Yeah, the toys and the
yeah,
blocks.
this mom
Paper
who's
cutouts.
doing something exactly paper cutout. So yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
What's your
that
favorite?
was
So I have a question, which is now, what's your favorite snack from each park? From well, let's not each park, from Disneyland and Disney World.
pretzel, Dole Whip. I'm easy.
Yeah.
I'm a pretzel. I love pretzel. I go to the movies, I get pretzels. If I go to SeaWorld, I'm getting a pretzel, I get pretzel. So Mickey pretzel and Dole Whip are like must have thing. I can take or leave
Yeah,
everybody else.
it's mostly pretty much the Dole Whip. There's
Dole Whip.
there's not much else that it's like I can't technically get something similar elsewhere, you know.
Disneyland, the chimichanga.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah, it's that's pretty
It
good.
literally just tastes like microwave burrito, but it is so yummy, and I love it. And you can walk with it, and
I love how she says she loves it, but it's just like a microwave.
it's
It's probably
Some-
sometimes trash
It
food is
just
what
comes
you're in
with
the
food.
mood
Yeah.
for.
you know, it could probably be classified maybe as one of the worst things they have. I don't know. I love the Disneyland chimichanga.
We planned our March trip to Disneyland. We were not planning because we used to go to Disney World in April, but we changed it to go to Disneyland. So then when this cruise came out and it was so inexpensive, we went over there. And there's one thing I said I was not gonna buy again. It's like I don't think I'm ever buying a churro in Disney World again. Because the churros
World?
in Disney, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Disneyland
Disney
is
World.
better.
No, Disneyland's churros are so amazing that once you like, we were at a DDC event last year, and I remember they gave us some tickets and we were out in Animal Kingdom. And when they gave me that churro after eating the ones in Disneyland, I was like, obviously I didn't pay for it. Well, kind of, right? Because it's kind of, but it was just something given to me complimentary. And I was like, that was the last churro I think I'm gonna have in Disney unless they start making that fresh, And
Yeah.
then obviously the Dole Whip is such for me when it comes to I've been
My computer.
Oh, there we go.
here we go.
Try
Ready?
now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You guys okay?
Shoot. Right at the end of the thing.
No worries. Camera still working?
Oh no, what's happening?
We'll make the best of it.
Oh no.
What happened?
Okay, I can tell by your reactions that you can hear me, but I cannot hear you.
The camera's off. Oh, you can't hear me? Let's try this. Let me try again. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Oh, this is funny. I can hear you again.
Leave meeting. I'm gonna try that. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can hear me. Let's do that.
Yeah, we can't hear you, but
You can text me. I'm leaving and then
That's- you can-
coming right back. Hold on.
Yeah. There we go.
yeah.
Hello.
I don't I don't know what's going on. That happened to me yesterday with somebody else. But anyway, you guys are back on.
Someone was trying to FaceTime me at the exact same moment and the whole
okay.
just lapped
The whole thing.
No problem. It's my fault because I kept on talking. Anyway, that's the thing to wrap up. But anyway, I don't think
Yeah.
I think for me, like I agree with you guys. Dole Whip, pretzels, those are good for. How about Disneyland? Still Dole Whip or?
I like the chimichanga.
Well, you said
and then-
chimichanga, yeah.
Oh, the
the-
chimichanga.
and then if you go to Pim's Test Kitchen and get the chocolate bar thing,
Taco smash.
Oh.
get the
The
get
taco
chocolate.
smash.
The Choco Smash is so good.
Like,
I'm not a candy.
Wait,
It's like a
the-
giant
oh,
candy bar.
I'll try that next time. I love
Yeah.
Pim's Kitchen. I love Pim's Kitchen, especially. Oh, you had the pretzels? I'm sure you've had the
Yes.
pretzels.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
ate half and then stuffed it in the backpack and like
We
ate
couldn't,
it
we
in the
couldn't even
hotel
eat that.
room.
Like, yeah, it was too much. Good thing is the
It's so
hotels are
good.
closed. Good thing is the hotels are close by where you can just walk back to the hotel. And all right,
Alright.
I'm gonna do a rapid round so we can start closing off. Well,
All
you
right.
guys, what's your favorite Disney character?
Oh, that's so hard.
I'll go with Minnie Mouse, generally speaking, for me.
Yeah, I guess if I had to pick like one ultimate,
Daisy.
I'll go with Tinkerbell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Minnie
Tinkerbell.
Mouse for me, she's just iconic and loyal and loving and adorable and cutesy and perfect.
She's the female Mickey, and Mickey is Disney. Mickey is Walt. You know, it's like,
She's Lilian Disney.
yeah,
Exactly. Favorite Disney park? That should be even harder.
Disneyland Park
yeah, Disneyland Park.
proper.
Okay, and then one piece of merch you'd rescue if you were in a fire.
My signed Matterhorn.
Your
Uh,
own Matterhorn.
I have a Matterhorn that was signed by Bob Gurr,
Oh,
and I would definitely
That's awesome.
chase that. I'd at least chuck it out the window in the hopes that it survived.
probably my limited edition. If I had to pick one of my dolls to save from a fire, would be the Snow White that I have. She's in her wedding dress, and she's one of the like big collector's editions, limited edition dolls with like the embroidery and the beautiful fancy clothes and hair. And I just love her so much. And she's I think she has a beautiful box that looks like the glass coffin and everything. And it's just like she would probably have to be the one that I have to save above all others.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what would be irreplaceable beyond like that particular map, because I could get another Matterhorn, but like that one, it's
It is signed.
it's signed, it's a low number. But
that's fine.
I think everything is replaceable to some extent. I would just be super sad, right? Like
Yeah.
I attach memories to items.
We'll try to rescue it in a fire, but if it's not possible, it's more important that you guys are here than that thing, right?
I would rescue myself from
I'm
the fire.
getting my
Yeah,
dog
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting my
It's-
dog
It's just a
first.
hypothetical situation. If you could.
Hypothetically, if it's just me
Yeah.
and my Disney crap, then yeah. But like, I'm getting my kids out,
And then underrated snack or meal in the parks.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay, gosh. What do we really? Well, I could go with something simple, like yes, when you go to Columbia Harbor House, get the clam chowder. It's actually really good. I like the food at Disney. I am a Disney eater. I like character dining. I think there are things that are overrated.
Yeah, honestly, there's not a lot that I would say is underrated, but overrated for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree. I think things become more Instagrammable, and when you taste them, it's like I just had a situation where
Yeah,
um,
that
um,
pickle milkshake they had at Epcot for the Muppet, like that's just wasting food because no one's gonna enjoy this. They're just gonna take a picture with it
and throw it away.
for the last month for the flower festival, there was a choco flan, which is flan with chocolate cake, right? It's
I
the,
saw pictures.
the worst thing I've ever ate at a. So my dad makes really good flan. Like
I make a
that's
killer flan.
like he's like if there's one item that my dad would make really and think like he used to sell it when we were kids. We used to live in Connecticut, and for him to buy us Christmas gifts and just do stuff for
He makes
Christmas, he
like
would
the
just
little ramekins.
he would make like a big flan and sell it. My mom used to work for Warner's. We used to make women's underwear, and
Yeah.
she used to work in the administration part, and then my aunts used to work on the floor making the pieces. So the people who make the pieces would come out earlier. So he would do 2 rounds. He would go early in the early afternoon, go over there, sell. He had a Buick Regal, these huge Buicks. Sell all the flowers he had in the trunk. Come back and do it again, and he would have enough money to like for us to like. So when I tasted that, the density of that was the density of crayons, and
Or it's
I'm not
like
gonna.
I hate when it's like scrambled eggs.
Well,
yeah,
it was
overcooked
that.
flan.
And I go to the customer. I say, "This is supposed to be that way," and they're like, "She's like, do you want anything else?" I said, "Do you want a refund?" I said, "Just give me one of those small." But like, so yeah, so I think that was pretty overrated because a lot of people were taking photos of it. I took a
I
photo
think
and I never posted it because
because it was gross. Yeah, overrated. Actually, to be honest, honestly, she's gonna be mad. I think the Blue Bayou restaurant is overrated.
I'm not mad. The food is all right.
I'm not mad at
I
it.
was more glad about the experience
what
and
is it?
getting to
What is
eat
it?
next to the track. The Blue
What is it
Bayou
with?
in
Yeah, yeah, no. But what is it with Disney's restaurants like that are crap? Because the one in Epcot is really bad. Like the Mexican restaurant that's just like that. I mean, in the sense
Yeah,
that it's like, cause in the Blue Bayou is pirates. The pirates.
yeah.
All things go away. In the
I when
Mexican,
I finally got in, when I knew I overrated, like I had no idea what the like. I try not to spoil myself too much on knowing things ahead of time, so I want to go in there and want to like look at the menu for the first time, and I'm like, oh, Monte Cristo sandwiches, and which was it just like I thought we were going to be getting like really some mega
yeah, sit down
gourmet
food. Sit down food.
dishes for the prices and the ambiance. And then I was like, well, and we did. We got the Monte Cristo and we ate the
And it
Monte
was
Cristo.
it was perfectly delicious.
I just didn't see myself ordering the Monte Cristo in this bougie, expensive restaurant. So I would say overrated. Not bad food, not a bad time.
But you're not going there for the food,
Overrated.
really. Yeah, like
Overrated. And I
Okay.
would say that one's more
and the turkey
overrated.
leg is overrated.
Turkey leg's completely overrated.
He needs to do
Oh,
that.
being also, when I used to eat meat, I remember I came from Puerto Rico. I think it was a Six Flags. They look so yummy, and I used to love eating meat.
They do. They look amazing.
And then when I bit into it, I'm like, why people want to eat this?
It's pure
And this is
salt
yeah,
and grease.
yeah, and I was like, nope, not for me. And then obviously I've not eaten meat in over 20 years, so they're not attractive. Even when I used to like eating, that was something I would skip. One bite you would never skip.
But I would never skip.
I'm not going to skip the Matterhorn until the doctor tells me I have to.
Honestly, I try not to skip any of them if I can help it.
Never skip.
But for me, it's the same as my favorite. I will always make sure that the Haunted Mansion gets ridden at least once.
Never skip Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
Oh no, that's
Never,
like
never skip Cosmic Rewind and pay for the individual lightning lanes.
Yeah, it's
Do
worth
it.
riding twice.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
it. Do it.
this is the last question I asked on this one. Guardians
right.
of the Galaxy or Cosmic Rewind? Which
As far as
Like,
Cosmic
Wh-
Rewind, the Mission Breakout, or
Mission
Cosmic
Break,
Rewind?
Mission Breakout. Sorry, Mission Breakout and
oh, Cosmic Rewind.
Cosmic
wins
Rewind.
by a
Easy.
lot.
But now, if you ask me Tower of Terror versus Cosmic Rewind, we have different answers.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I actually agree with her opinion and she agrees with mine, but we like them for different reasons. the ride experience I can acknowledge is honestly more fun and superior on Guardians of the Galaxy. It's you got the music, it's a party energy. But for me, again, as somebody who likes the darker aesthetics and likes classic Hollywood history and media and deep dives and everything like that, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is special to me.
Yeah.
In a way that Guardians is just never is going to be. So I do prefer the overall vibe, ambiance, and theming around the Tower of Terror, while I can acknowledge that riding Guardians of the Galaxy is way more fun.
As a parent, my challenge with Tower of Terror is that there's so many people that go into trying to make it extra scary, and people get a little bit that we were there with a group of people who were just having fun, you know, they were just trying to make it scarier. But my daughter got on once, and she's like, I'm not doing it again. And then when we were in Disneyland last year, thankfully our nephew was with us, and he doesn't like drops, so he stayed with my daughter, and my wife and I got to enjoy it, and we tried Mission Breakout, and I have to agree with both of your opinions, but I think that's what's cool about the other one, where it doesn't make people want to make it scarier than it already can be. It already can be, because the fact that you don't know when it's gonna drop, that's amazing. But it's people.
Yeah, it doesn't add to the anxiety. Like for children, especially, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy is better, because even as a, and I appreciate it now, especially, but as a small child riding Tower of the Terror for the first time, just being in that lobby and just kind of having that quiet music and the spider webs, it was enough to build that slow sense of dread, so that by the time I'm in the chair, I'm like, this is going to be really scary.
The Tower of Terror is so well made that it's messing with you physically, right? Because the sidewalks are set up in the wrong way and stuff like that, where you don't even realize that that's happening to you. But and then I believe kids are more aware of their surroundings. So you have a good point to me. And then what's next for you guys? What? You already said you have a next Disney trip. What?
I got that little pseudo baby, you know, I'm going to go eat dinner or breakfast.
Yeah.
Actually 2026 right now. We're looking at May of 2026, and we're going to do a big family trip to Disneyland. Because my sons are the perfect age. They've done the Disney World and they remember everything. So I'm going to get them over to Disneyland. And we're going to do a little bit like we're Disneyland DCA. I'm going to take them up to the Griffith Observatory. Probably last time we went to LA, we went to the cemetery and visited Walt's grave. My boys are interested in doing that as well, so we might go back out there. A lot of the history stuff. I love Burbank for all the Disney history.
The Warner Brothers studio tour was just delightful. So
that's cool. I might try that next time, because you know we did the Universal Studios tour, right? Because it's part of it. And then I think it changed just a few days later, because they're closing it off now. They continue some things, and I think doing a Warner Brothers one might be cool. That sounds good.
Warner was great. Warner was great. And we did the old Hollywood version of the tour.
Yeah, because there's different versions of the tour that they offer.
The exact same tour, but they'll just explain older movies instead of like, and even then they're like, oh, and Batman was filmed here, and this and this and this, you know, so that you still find out about everything.
It's interesting how people who are fans also like to visit grave sites. I have a friend who works on the Disney Treasure, and we met him because he was our waiter at one occasion. And you know, the fantasy is stopping in Taiwan, the Treasure stops here. I'm literally 8 minutes away driving from the port, right? So
nice.
If somebody's coming in, I always tell them, let me know. I'll move my schedule and I'll go pick you guys up, and I'll take you around. Especially these cast members who are on the ship, who are like, they take so good care of you, and there's very limited of what you can do other than giving tips and stuff like that, right? So I went to he said, hey, Raul, I'm coming in. This was like a month ago. And he said, I'm coming in, but I want to do one thing. I want to go visit Raul Julia's grave. And I don't know if you've seen what Raul Julia.
I would do that too.
Yeah. And
I would go see Raul Julia's grave too.
I don't even know where Raul Julia is. Like, I hope it doesn't creep you out. I said, dude, I'm an atheist, so I don't worry about those things. I love history. Let's go. So all of a sudden I'm planning, because it's not close to the port. I said, listen, because with these crew members, they only have very limited time to get off the ship, and something they can even get off. I said, if we do that, we're not going to be able to do anything else, because it's a good drive. Might kick us out. That's right. So we literally drove to Raul Julia. He's originally from Sardinia, which is a colony of Italy. And he brought his Sardinian flag, and he was so happy because he had seen Street Fighter and been a big fan of Raul Julia since. So, but I was like, kind of cool, because if not, I will never. I love Raul Julia. He's been a big advocate for the island when he was alive. He did a
Yeah.
lot of cool things for Puerto Rico. So the fact that I would have never gone, but thanks to him having interest, I went over there, I took photos, and now I know where to get. So when you guys come, I'll take you guys.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
then
That's awesome.
to finish this off, is there any advice? Because when you like, I work with my wife, and we've been together since 2004, and now we've been running a business since 2008 together. When you run projects, project issues become personal issues. What advice do you have to make sure that you get things flow and that you understand each other? I mean, I see you guys have an awesome relationship, but
Conflict usually, I don't know. We don't run into a lot of conflict.
Honestly, again, it's just trying to go with the flow of it more than anything else is what we do. If something doesn't work out or if something goes wrong with our plans or
we don't take it out on each other.
yeah, like or we lose something. It's like that's one of our rules, especially at Disney. I mean, like it's a rule in general in life, but like when we're
No
when
fighting at
we
Disney.
don't fight when we're at Disney. Even if we're mad at each other, we just need to stop. This is not a place where people fight. At least not like
Not in our world.
not in our world. Like it's just breathe, let it go, move on, because like
I
yeah.
love that. I just thought of an idea, and if whoever anyone's like, there's one thing I don't like, and it's some of these tacky t-shirts. I'm not gonna mention which ones they are, but you mentioned
I know
something
which
of
one.
like spending money. So like, come on, But then I just thought of something. I would love for somebody to make a t-shirt that says "No fighting at Disney," and
No
explain what you
fighting
do.
No
at
fighting at
Disney.
Disneyland.
Because it
Yeah,
like
Especially
normal.
Disneyland, they need it.
No, but I think both because you know what? When I go to Disney World, I have to be very aware. Like my culture is very different. We're very hospitable. But if you invade my space and you're rude to me, we can flip it up and you're Cuban, you understand? You know, so I have to, because some things that are allowed shouldn't be allowed, right? But then I have to control myself because I don't want to get into an application or anything there. But then when you sometimes see when somebody's acting up, I like to observe what's going on first. And then you see the dynamic of the family. It's like, oh, they're fighting amongst themselves. So of course they're gonna fight the strangers.
Yeah,
So
that's
so
a
I
huge
think
part
if
of it.
somebody can make a T-shirt or a line that said something in that line, and that's the reason we created when I created Lock and Gear, my brothers would be shout out to Monsters Inc. And we love going to the Laugh Factory. But also one thing I love to do when I go to Disney is have fun. Because you see a lot of people are very miserable because they decided to or overplan or do too much. And you don't know how much of a joy it is to listen to your story and seeing that you guys are going over there having fun and just having a great time.
It'll always be there, and maybe I won't always be here, but like I've at this point we have done it all, seen it all that we can, like everything domestic that we've wanted to do so far. So yeah, we don't overdo it. We don't push ourselves. We aren't trying
We're
to.
not biting off more than we can chew with like day to day with the trips that we take. Like
And
it's just
and not everybody's, and everybody has a different level of privilege or being fortunate enough to be able to do these things. I'm not a local, like I don't live
That's
close by, right?
that's
I
so
don't have a.
important. That's so important. People don't realize the privilege they have, like of being there, especially how expensive it is. Because, like, I couldn't go to Disney when I was a kid because we were really poor, right? But now, even somebody, maybe your family, right? If we go back, they probably couldn't afford it now because it's gotten to a point where it's so expensive that if you spend so much money, you're there, then why not enjoy it?
Enjoy it and
Oh,
take it in and just. Yeah, and it was the same with when I took my husband and my kids. We went last summer, and it was more stressful. There was more snafus. There were more, with the little kids. They're going, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you can't make a plan the same way. And it was just like we are not going to get frustrated with each other. We are not going to get if you're like, hey, don't buy that because we're running out of money. I just won't buy that, and I'm not going to take my disappointment out on, it rained. Oh no, it's raining! Yay! Like you just roll with it. You just roll with it. You're gonna get smelly. You're gonna get dirty. You're gonna get sweaty. You're gonna. Yes. Don't do huge Disney bounds in summer in Florida. You don't do it. You'll suffer. Like like
how can people support your project?
oh, just keep showing up. Keep clicking the like button. Yeah, right now, honestly, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not trying to do anything right now but share what I've share my messages. Um, yeah, like just follow and like and be encouraging, really, right? Just I love what we're doing. I love that. Like, and my close friends, it's so funny. I don't get a lot of feedback from my close friends on actual Instagram, which is fine. I'm not, that wasn't a dig on that. It was more just like, but when I get up close, like, I love what you're doing and I love all your stuff. And I mean, because again, my hometown is Titusville. So when I do go visit friends now, I'm right there. And so most of my buddies and friends are AP holders, and they're all the time going, and they don't necessarily even see the charm in it the same way, right? And they love seeing it through my eyes, and they love seeing, like, yeah, when you did have to travel thousands of miles to do what you guys, not you, but they get to do on the regular basis, seeing it through my eyes, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. I'm
Special, yeah.
It's special to me every single time because and even if I move to Florida, I will still travel to Disneyland. Like, that will be happening.
I think it's because of the love you have, because I love Old San Juan. Right now, I'm so fortunate to live about an 8-10 minute drive. And I can go there and I can always find something that's unique and awesome. I never take it for granted, right? And that's,
Exactly.
I think if we approach life that way, it just makes it sweeter. So let's end it with this. Where can they find you? Can you repeat your socials? And then
on Instagram, you can find me at Pixie Dust and Prozac.
You can find me at Walt's Favorite Rodent.
And I do have Lilian Hurley, Princess Tiger Lily is still my name on Facebook right now. So sometimes I will also share just the things that I've usually it's like, look what I bought, or look what I want, I would buy if I had money. Like, a lot of the times, like, I want this, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just out there just having fun. I'm not really trying to, like, I don't know if I'll ever be like a vlogger. I don't know. My goal is to eventually get to Central Florida again, and maybe become a cast member. And I mean, we're talking small stuff. I don't care. Let me go retail. Let me sell balloons. I just want to make little toddlers giggle and grown-ups smile and remind people that we're just a bunch of grown-up children.
I think that's the best way to end it. Thank you, Lilian. Thank you, Rain.
We love you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.